You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 322, Qianjun 3. Chapter 322, Qianjun. Suyu hurriedly nodded. Wait a moment. There are still people in the Qianjun realm area. Wait until they come out before you go in. Bai Feng hurriedly said, just go in together. The mystic realm is so big. What's the big deal if there are more people? Naturally, one could enter the mystic realm together. Otherwise, Chen Qi would not have hired people to plot against Suyu that day. The old man said calmly, it's different. Just wait. As they conversed, Suyu looked around the small house. He was a little lost. Where was the mystic realm? Where was the mystic realm that they had agreed on? Why didn't he see it? This was a simple and crude small house. It was a little similar to the snack bar that could be seen everywhere on the street. Two old men sat inside. There was a counter between them. Bai Feng and the others were outside. There seemed to be a door behind the two old men. Could the mystic realm be inside? The old man ignored Suyu and looked at the two middle-aged men again. It's the same for the both of you. You are all here to break through Qianjun. Later, the three of you will enter together. After entering, each of you will find a place to break through. Do not disturb the others. Also, once you break through, once you develop resistance, come out immediately. Otherwise, don't blame me for not warning you when you die from the Yuan Qi impact. Don't be too greedy. Otherwise, you are courting death. With that said, the old man thought of something and said, Bai Feng, what is the name of this student of yours? Suyu. Let me check. The old man slid a few times on a machine in front of him and looked at Suyu. He said, are you sure you want to use it now? This is the entrance reward. It can be used in 1,000 caddies, 10,000 stones, or even to raise one's character to the sky. The region is different, so the price you have to pay is also different. Don't waste it. The old man reminded, keep this opportunity and come back when your character is at its peak. It's much more cost-effective than now. Suyu smiled foolishly and said, Teacher, I haven't cultivated my character yet. It's still early. In the future, I'll strive to enter again. You have ambition. The old man smiled, and in the room, the two young men couldn't help but glance at Suyu. Suyu. The Divine Arts Academy's Suyu. Suyu saw the two of them looking at him, and he also smiled and nodded at them. He didn't know them. There were too many people in the academy, so it was impossible for him to know all of them. However, from the looks of it, there didn't seem to be any enmity between them. Bai Feng didn't seem to have any conflicts with their teacher, so there was no need to offend anyone. Seeing the few young men looking at each other, a middle-aged man with slightly longer hair laughed and said, Bai Feng, I heard that your student was provoked by Lu Hong's student and is preparing to spar after the monthly exam. Do you think he can win? Bai Feng said indifferently, it doesn't matter whether he wins or not. It's best if he wins, but if he loses, I'll go and look for trouble with Lu Hong. How many things did his student eat from me? Spit them all back. If he has the guts, Lu Hong will hide for the rest of his life. The few of them could not help but laugh. Inside, the two old men also laughed. The person who had just reminded Suyu said again, Bai Feng, don't be too arrogant. That kid Lu Hong entered Secret Realm number 3 a few days ago. After he came out, he might be at the 8th or even 9th level of the soaring stage. So what if he's at the 9th level? Bai Feng said proudly, Hu Wensheng is also at the 9th level. The few of them were speechless. The middle-aged man who had spoken earlier could not help but laugh and said, then we'll just wait for you to teach Lu Hong a lesson. Do you still need me to do it? Bai Feng laughed and said, Suyu just needs to teach his student a lesson. If he wins, why should I interfere? Didn't he break through Qianjun today just to teach that guy a lesson? With that said, he looked at the old man and said, has that trash student, Lu Hong, come over? The old man smiled and said, I won't say. If you want to inquire, spend your merit points to inquire. Bai Feng curled his lips. I won't do it. Who cares if he came or not? He did not continue conversing with the few of them. Bai Feng looked at Su Yu and said, when you enter later, don't run around. There are signs inside. The Qianjun area is just a small area. The outside is a 10,000 stone area or even an empty area. You can't go. You will be crushed and explode if you go. After entering, devour Yuan Qi and start cultivating. Connect your acupoints and directly enter the 1,000-ton realm. After that, continue cultivating according to the second level of the God of War technique. When you open your acupoints, your Yuan Qi will be extremely dense. The speed at which you open your acupoints will be extremely fast. At this moment, Bai Feng still fulfilled his responsibility as a teacher. He reminded, when you feel that you have opened your acupoints to the limit, you will no longer be able to open your acupoints. You will begin to refine your body with your blood essence. Drop by drop, you will directly devour it. There is no need to care about anything else. Every drop of blood essence that you consume will be consumed once more. As you devour and open your mind, your blood essence will automatically strengthen your physical body. Under normal circumstances, there is no need to use 100 drops. 100 drops will only be used for those who are at the critical mass of 1,000 tons. In truth, just 50 drops will be enough. Of course, geniuses might use a little more. Of course, you are a genius, so you will be bringing your blood essence with you later. Beside them, the two young men looked at Su Yu with envy. Even they knew about the 100 drops of mountain-shattering bull's blood essence. The middle-aged man who had spoken to Bai Feng earlier could not help but say, Bai Feng, if you're giving your blood essence to him now, then. He wanted to say, what if your disciple loses? Bai Feng interrupted him directly, I can't lose. It's not like I don't have it if I lose. Mountain-shattering bull's blood essence is nothing. Our family is big, do we still need this? Bullsh *T. The few of them laughed to themselves. Who didn't know that they were so poor that they were going to use it as pants? As for where Su Yu and Bai Feng would get this thing after they used it, they couldn't be bothered. In the academy, there were some rules that had to be followed. If they agreed to give it, then they had to give it. If they didn't give it, they might have to pay a huge price. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 323, Qianjun 4. Chapter 323, Qianjun 4. Bai Feng ignored them and continued to exhort Su Yu, persist a little longer and absorb more Yuan Qi. The Yuan Qi here is the purest kind. It's much purer than the Yuan Qi in our filtration chamber. It's worth it to absorb a little more. Back then, I came here when I broke through Qianjun. I persisted for 3 hours. Cough cough. Inside, the two old men coughed at the same time. Speaking of which, the two of us have been here for decades. When you came in, we were also on duty here. He knew that it was inappropriate to brag in front of the two of them, right? Bai Feng did not care about that. He continued, that time, when I came here, I directly opened another 12 acupoints. In an instant, Qianjun realm reached the second level, and I began to advance to the third level. This time, you also opened more acupoints. I don't expect you to open another 12 acupoints. You can open 7 or 8 acupoints to save some time. Otherwise, with your efficiency, even if we are not lacking in Yuan Qi liquid, you will need at least a month to open 7 or 8 acupoints. It will waste time. Tired in the heart. The two old men were tired in the heart, and the two middle-aged men were also tired in the heart. Bai Feng, this fellow, could you stop bragging in front of the students? When did you become enlightened by 12? When did you last for 3 hours? Seeing that their students were also looking at him, the long-haired middle-aged man coughed and knew what his students meant. He smiled and said, 3 hours is considered a monster level, very impressive. Teacher, I was slightly inferior to him back then, and I only lasted for 2.5 hours. This time, try to last for 1 hour. If you can't, don't force yourself. Quit. After all, teacher, I was one of the few upper-class people in that batch back then. Seeing this, another middle-aged man also smiled and said, in that case, I'm a little weaker than all of you. I lasted for 145 minutes. It looks like I'm the worst. The three of them looked at each other. Everything was said without saying. Since they were already boasting, it was not easy to expose them. Then, let's all be stronger. To motivate the students. Inside, the two old men were speechless. You guys are enough. After Bai Feng finished boasting, you guys started boasting. Do you really think that we won't expose you? Believe it or not, if we expose you now, we'll make you guys lose face. 3 hours, 2 hours. Bai Feng was considered long back then. He did persist for 1.5 hours, but he insisted on doubling it. No one knew what he was thinking. Just as he was thinking, someone knocked on the door behind them. The old man waved his hand and the door opened. The next moment, a figure walked out. Su Yu and the others looked in that direction, and their expressions changed. Fox Clan. Su Yu frowned. The two young men were also furious, while Bai Feng and the others' expressions changed. No wonder they were not allowed to enter before. It was actually not a human, but a demon from 10,000 clans. The person who came out had a long tail. His face was somewhat human, but he also had some signs of being a demon. His ears were fox ears, and there was still some hair on his cheeks that had not faded. He should be a fox demon. The two old men saw that Bai Feng and the others did not look friendly and coughed lightly. One of the old men stood up and said, I'll send him off. Old Huang, you take charge of the affairs here. All right. The old man did not waste his breath. He grabbed the silent fox and disappeared from the room in a flash. When the old man called Old Huang saw that Bai Feng and company were still silent. He said in a deep voice, don't think about it. The Myriad Clan Academy has opened. The Yuan Qi mystic realm is not considered an extremely important mystic realm. They paid a price and the academy has agreed to let them enter the mystic realm. Bai Feng grunted and could not be bothered to say anything. The long-haired middle-aged man said unhappily, what's open now is a basic mystic realm. In a few days, it might even open a high-grade mystic realm. Old Huang said plainly, it's useless to tell me. You can tell the manor head. Whether we can enter or not, we can enter now. If we don't enter, we can return. The few of them sighed and did not say anything more. Bai Feng threw a bottle to Su Yu. He did not want to say anything and waved his hand. His interest was waning. They were not too happy to see the demons in the secret realm of the academy. Su Yu and the others did not say anything either. They walked towards the door that was still open. At this moment, Su Yu's mind was still thinking about what had just happened. The demon race. This was the first time he had truly seen it. The fox race, as expected, all miscellaneous books are lies. Who said that the fox race is very beautiful? They are frighteningly ugly. Su Yu cursed in his heart. They were really ugly. They even had hair on their faces. Although he had only seen it for a short while, Su Yu still remembered it. In the future, he would not believe what those miscellaneous books said. All the races were very ugly. Where would there be any beautiful women or a body of hair? Whoever liked to admire them would go and admire them. In any case, he would not be able to admire them, they were not as good-looking as Wulan. You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 324, Chapter 96 Photo Album, Page 2. Chapter 324, Chapter 96 Photo Album, Page 2. Entering the door. As if he had traveled through time and space, Su Yu's vision blurred, and the next moment, he appeared in an empty space. It was empty, silent. There was nothing. No, there was a sign in front that was about to rot, and it read, Qianjun area. The surroundings seemed to have been artificially isolated into an empty space, and this was Qianjun area. The ground beneath his feet was not soil. It was unknown what it was, but it was soft. There were two other people around Su Yu, the two students who had just entered together. The moment they entered, they were ready to cultivate. But when they saw Su Yu looking around in a daze, one of the ordinary-looking young men said with a smile, Su Yu, stop looking and quickly cultivate. The Yuan Qi mystic realm is like this. There's nothing to see. It's just a small space formed by a divine culture that absorbs Yuan Qi. Su Yu was also sensing the concentration of Yuan Qi. At that moment, even if he was not cultivating, he could feel a large amount of Yuan Qi surging into his body. The openings that had already been opened automatically absorbed the Yuan Qi. Gradually, Su Yu felt that the openings were beginning to saturate. In other words, even if he did not take the initiative to cultivate, at a certain time, he would be squeezed out. No wonder Bai Feng and the others used the length of time to determine how much Yuan Qi they had absorbed. It's so simple. Su Yu muttered, breaking my imagination. I thought that this mystic realm was definitely very mysterious and mystical. In the end, it was just a small space. No, there were probably quite a number of places outside, but that was not a place he could go. It was too simple and crude. Seeing that the two of them had started cultivating, Su Yu was too embarrassed to ask any more questions. He sat down cross-legged and thought for a moment before getting up and running a little further away to avoid being disturbed. It wasn't good to disturb them, and it wasn't good to be disturbed by them either. Without wasting any more time, Su Yu began to sit down cross-legged and circulate the War God technique to connect the acupuncture points. Within his body, lines started to form between the light spots. The acupuncture points were points. They connected to each other to form lines and eventually formed a closed circuit. All the acupuncture points that could be used were combined into one. This was the effect of different techniques. Su Yu actually opened 22 acupuncture points. However, one of them belonged to the Thunder Origin Blade. It was useless in the system of the art of war. 1 point, 2 points, 3 points. The 21 points of light gradually began to connect. It was very fast. In less than 10 minutes, the 21 points formed a system. With a loud boom, it came from within Su Yu's body. The apertures resonated, a sound that only he could hear. The dense Yuan Qi in the surroundings rapidly gathered towards him. Not far away, the other two opened their eyes. They were somewhat envious when they saw Su Yu connect the apertures so quickly. Amazing. They were different from Su Yu. These two had only cultivated the ordinary version of the Aries art. The advanced version cultivated a lot in Zhangjin College, but not a lot in the civilized college. Even some upper-class students would sometimes choose the ordinary version and open 8 acupoints. They were not new students, but older students who had entered the college last year. They had all entered the recuperation stage, but their bodies had just entered Qianjun this year. They were considered pretty good among the last batch of students, and were considered outstanding. But now, not only did Su Yu enter Qianjun so quickly, but from the way his vitality gathered, it was likely that he was still cultivating the advanced version of the God of War technique. The two of them were a little envious. Fortunately, civilized masters focused on willpower. Although they were envious, it was not to the point of jealousy. At the moment, they did not place too much importance on the body. 10 minutes later, Suyu connected the acupuncture points. The acupuncture points formed a circuit, and a large amount of yuan qi surged into his body and was absorbed by the acupuncture points. Suyu could clearly feel that the amount of yuan qi in his body had increased. Not only that, his body was growing stronger. Yuan qi was being tempered. His qi and blood were rich, and his meridians were washed by yuan qi. His bones were shaking. This was a process of transformation. From Yuan opening to Qianjun, this was a transformation that a warrior possessed in the truest sense of the word. Teacher said that after a breakthrough, one should continue to open their body once more. When one reaches the limit, one should consume the essence blood. Then, I will give it a try and see how many more I can open. With this thought in mind, Suyu did not dare to delay. He immediately began to circulate the second level of the God of War technique. A large amount of yuan qi was absorbed by him. Suyu felt that at most 5 minutes, he would be able to absorb about 1 drop of yuan qi liquid. 1 hour, I can absorb 12 drops of yuan qi liquid, 60 merit points. 3 hours, 180 merit points, and I feel that the yuan qi here is easier to absorb. No wonder everyone wants to enter this mystic realm to cultivate. Previously, he had asked around and found out that there was actually no such opportunity given by the academy. One could also come to cultivate. For the 1000 mass realm, one could only spend 100 merit points. Of course, to accumulate merit points, one had to reach the standard. In other words, if one did not absorb 20 drops of yuan qi liquid, it would be a loss. It was best not to come. Only when one could absorb more than 20 drops would one be able to come and earn. But I'm different. This opportunity of mine is something that can come even when it's in the air. The price is even higher. I would feel a loss if I did not absorb 50 drops. Suyu started to calculate his small account. 50 drops. It would take 4 hours, right? Of course, the absorption speed might be faster or slower later on. In any case, he had decided that he would not leave until he absorbed 50 drops of yuan qi. Without consuming the essence blood, Suyu circulated the second layer of the Art of War God. The acupuncture points that had already been opened lit up one by one. The lines formed by the acupuncture points rapidly absorbed the yuan qi and refined the new acupuncture points. 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes later, the first acupuncture point of the second layer was directly opened. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 325, Chapter 96, second page of the Atlas 2. Chapter 325, Chapter 96, second page of the Atlas 2. Once it was opened, the speed at which one could breathe out yuan qi became even faster. So fast. Suyu was shocked. In such a short period of time, he had actually opened the first aperture. This speed was really fast. No wonder everyone wanted to come. It was so cool. Continue. Suyu did not dare to delay. This delay was equivalent to money. Another 10 minutes passed. With a boom, the second aperture was opened. Suyu was shocked. Was it that fast? It was equivalent to 4 days ago. This was not something that could be explained by the rich yuan qi. There should be other benefits in this mystic realm, such as helping to open the aperture. It had to be. The world of the divine runes is too mysterious. Suyu continued once again. This time, he spent a little longer. About 15 minutes later, Suyu opened his third acupuncture point. Including the time it took to break through, he spent about 50 minutes. However, Suyu also sensed that after opening the 3 acupuncture points, the rate at which he absorbed yuan qi had slowed down. I have to consume the essence blood. I can't slow down. Suyu did not delay. He quickly took out a bottle and poured out a drop of the mountain-shattering bull's essence blood and began to devour it. He had just swallowed the first drop. Su Yu's heart jolted. Mountain-shattering bull, critical mass. Basic skill, mountain-shattering strike, essence blood activation. Basic origin technique, body strengthening technique, essence blood activation. I've been killed by a bull. Su Yu's heart stirred slightly. That's not right. I've been killed by many bulls. Is there still a mountain-shattering bull? How could I not remember? The mountain-breaking bull's blood essence actually opened the second page of the atlas. This surprised Su Yu slightly. Of course, he quickly regained his calm. Since I was young, I've been killed by a few thousand races. Having a mountain-breaking bull was very normal. It was just that he was a little surprised. He couldn't remember it at all. Perhaps it was because more bulls had killed him. Body strengthening technique? I heard that the reason why the broken mountain ox's blood essence is so powerful is because it is very helpful to the body. Is it related to this body strengthening art? Su Yu opened his eyes and sneaked a glance at the two students on the other side. If he were to use the body strengthening art now, would it be more beneficial for cultivation? As for the Iron-Winged Bird clan's Na Yuan art, it was not mainly used to strengthen the body. The temporarily opened apertures were not used to strengthen the body. It might not be as effective as the broken mountain ox in the Qianjun realm. Forget it, I'll use my blood essence to refine it first and open the other openings at the same time. Su Yu did not know when those two fellows were going to leave, and he did not dare to open them carelessly at this moment. It would not be good if he was discovered by others. Just as he was thinking, the two people on the other side stood up almost at the same time. I can't hold on anymore. One of them sighed, I can't hold on anymore. I've opened 2 openings. It's still all right, it's almost an hour. Shaking his head, he looked at Su Yu. Both of their faces were slightly flushed. Seeing Su Yu's calm expression, they looked at each other helplessly. He seemed to have just started consuming blood essence. It seemed like he could hold on for at least another hour. There was no way to compare. Was Su Yu's physical body stronger than theirs? Or was he more tolerant? Su Yu, let's go. Su Yu nodded. The two of them did not stay long. They had only met by chance, and Su Yu did not even know their names. They did not have any intention of introducing themselves. They were not in the same academy, and they just happened to bump into each other today. The two of them did not stay long. There was a circle of light next to the tattered signboard, which should be the door. The two of them walked over and disappeared into the circle of light in the blink of an eye. When Su Yu saw that they had left, he devoured the blood essence again. This time, the mountain-breaking bull's blood essence was not used to open the atlas. Instead, it was used for normal cultivation. Su Yu could feel a special power refining his body. However, he felt that the effect was mediocre and the speed was not fast. Why don't I use the blood essence to open it? He wanted to open the body strengthening technique to see the effect. Since the mountain-breaking bull clan had used the body strengthening technique to strengthen their body, perhaps their race origin technique was more effective than the blood essence. I'll use 1 drop to try. If it's not good, then I'll continue to directly devour and temper my body. When the last drop was almost fully digested, Su Yu swallowed another drop. This time, he used it to activate the body strengthening technique. At the beginning, Su Yu felt that something was different. Light spots suddenly appeared all over his body. Many. There were more than the iron-winged bird race. Back then, the Na Yuan technique had only opened 36 temporary acupuncture points, which was a little more when it reached 10,000 stones. But the body-strengthening art at the 1,000-mass realm had actually opened more than 100 acupuncture points in an instant. Su Yu did not count. He roughly took a look. It was not less than the Aries art. This meant that the body-strengthening art was at least a peak Earth rank or even heaven rank cultivation technique. Once it was opened, there would be great trouble. The yuan qi here was too dense. There were too many acupuncture points that had been opened at the last minute. In the blink of an eye, large amounts of yuan qi even liquefied and surged into his body. Rumble. The fourth opening was instantly opened by him. And this time, Suyu clearly felt something different. The golden atlas shook in his sea of consciousness, as though it was also surprisingly dense with the yuan qi here. The energy used for devouring was a little too great, and it seemed to have expended quite a lot. For the first time, a faint fluctuation was transmitted to Suyu. The energy had been exhausted. His blood essence was running out of energy. In the past, the energy that could last for an hour was mostly depleted due to the excessive amount of yuan qi in the area. Suyu was somewhat surprised that the golden atlas could still transmit some fluctuations, but he could not care about that now. He continued to devour a drop of blood essence. The temporary aperture that was about to dim lit up once again as large amounts of yuan qi gathered towards him. After a few minutes, the fifth acupuncture point rumbled and opened. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 326, Chapter 96 Album, page 23. Chapter 326, Chapter 96 Album, page 2, So Fast. Suyu was immersed in this comfortable feeling. Although devouring yuan qi was fast and overloaded his physical body, he still felt extremely comfortable when he felt his acupoints being opened one by one. Another half an hour had passed, and Suyu had devoured a total of 18 drops of blood essence. He had opened 6 apertures. And it had been almost an hour and a half since he entered the mystic realm. In the small house, the 2 middle-aged men had already left with the students. At this moment, Baifeng was still waiting. Baifeng wiped the non-existent sweat on his forehead and heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, I had bragged for 3 hours. Otherwise, Suyu would have caught up to him by now. He had only stayed for an hour and a half back then. In the hut, the elder surnamed Huang looked at the time and said with a smile, "This freshman is not bad. His foundation is rather solid. His yuan opening 9 apertures are also sufficiently solid. Looks like there's a chance to open 6 or 7 apertures this time. Not bad." The elder who had sent the Fox clan away had returned at that moment. Upon hearing that, he said nonchalantly, "He's from a small city, right? He's pretty good. I like elites from such small places. When I was young, I did not use much yuan qi liquid, so my foundation was solid. If I seize an opportunity, my foundation would be much firmer. The elite disciples of those large families are fine, but those from the branch families only pursue speed. If their foundations are not solid, how can they build a high mountain?" Elder Huang sighed and said, "You can't say that. How many people from small cities and ordinary families can seize such an opportunity? The probability of their rise is too low, so they can only be an exception." As the 2 of them chatted, Baifeng interjected, "How long do you think he can stay?" "There's hope in 2 hours. Elder Huang smiled. "His foundation is solid, and he's given the mountain-breaking bull's essence blood. His body will gradually become stronger. Since he hasn't come out yet, the 2 kids said that he just took the essence blood when they came out. He should be able to hold on for a while." Baifeng nodded slightly and let out a sigh of relief. It was about the same as what he had predicted. 2 hours was not bad at all. Civilized masters actually did not care much about the cultivation of their bodies at the origin opening realm. They were usually weaker, but that was only for ordinary people. If they were geniuses, they would still hope that their bodies would be stronger. Suyu's body was not considered weak at the origin opening realm. This kid could even cultivate the thunder origin blade to the second blade, so his explosive power was strong enough. This was also related to his body being not weak. Of course, openings also required talent. The more openings Su Yu opened, the longer he could last. This was also normal. Let's see how many openings he could open. If he was stuck at any of the openings and could not open it, his yuan qi would accumulate, and he would have no choice but to come out. As Bai Feng thought of this, he suddenly thought of something and asked, I remember. When we broke through Qianjun back then, the one who opened the most openings and lasted the longest was, my martial uncle, right? Lu Wenyan. The two old men looked at each other. Elder Huang thought for a moment, he shook his head and said, it wasn't him. I was 2 years younger than him back then. When I heard about Qianjun, he didn't cultivate the current war god technique, but the sky-splitting innumerable sabers, from back then. Bai Feng said in surprise, why didn't I know that? Isn't that a secret technique of the Xia family? It's a secret technique of the Xia family, Elder Huang said with a smile, but back then, the 5th generation head of the mansion accepted him and went to the Xia family to ask for it. The 5th generation head of the mansion still had some face and agreed not to teach it to outsiders. The Xia family also agreed to impart it to Lu Wenyan. As he said that, he continued, the Xia family's innumerable sky-cleaving blades is a heaven-rank cultivation technique. Of course, the one given back then should be a low-grade heaven-rank cultivation technique. Qianjun has opened 117 apertures and 13 apertures at the first level. When Lu Wenyan broke through, he should have opened 12 apertures and lasted for nearly 3 hours. He almost stepped into the second level of Qianjun. As he spoke, he teased, you were bragging just now. You were talking about your martial uncle's battle achievements. How dare you hang it on your head? Bai Feng laughed dryly before asking curiously, it's not my martial uncle. I remember it's him. No. Elder Huang shook his head. He wanted to say something but hesitated. He looked at Bai Feng and saw that the old man beside him was much more direct, are you forgetful? He asked unhappily. A few years ago, that fellow who beat you up came to our secret realm to borrow it. On the same day, he persisted for 5 hours and gained 24 enlightenment points. He directly entered the 3rd stage of the critical realm. Did you deliberately forget about him? Bai Feng's face instantly turned black. F***ck. I forgot. He couldn't help but curse, this bastard isn't from our academy. I'm talking about our academy, not him. The two elders couldn't help but laugh when they saw him cursing. Elder Huang chuckled and said, I didn't want to talk about it just now, but you had to ask. Oh right, did you know that he has entered Lingyun? Bai Feng said with a dark expression, I don't know, I don't care. You. Elder Huang chuckled and said, it's better to focus on your cultivation. Entering Lingyun as soon as possible is the right path. Don't stay in the research center all day. Xia Yuan should be there soon. Wuxia has entered the 9th level of the sky-bearing realm. Hu Wensheng has suffered a blow this time, and I think he'll be there soon. And Lu Hong. He said with some regret, Bai Feng, the top few geniuses of your batch are about to enter Lingyun. Even if you can defeat the 9th level of the soaring heavens realm, what about meeting Lingyun? It's better for you to focus on this as soon as possible. Then, he joked, if you don't advance, that person from the Great Zhou mansion will catch up to you. I heard that he's about to reach the 6th level of the soaring heavens realm. The 6th level of the soaring heavens realm? Bai Feng said disdainfully, not to mention his 6th level, even if he's at the 9th level, I'll kill him with a slap. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 327, Chapter 96 Photo Album, Page 24. Chapter 327, Chapter 96 Photo Album, Page 24. Don't forget, I'm only 19 this year. Old Huang reminded him. You're much older than me. Bai Feng muttered a few words, so what if I'm 19, my disciple is only 18. Alright, although I just advanced to Qianjun today, the difference between Qianjun and soaring isn't that big. As they chatted, time gradually passed. Soon, 2 hours had passed. Bai Feng had been staring at the door the whole time and didn't see any movement. He was a little surprised that he hadn't come out yet. This kid isn't bad. Could it be that he has opened 7 or 8 apertures? After another half an hour, Bai Feng said a little nervously, nothing will happen, right? It won't. Elder Huang consoled, how could anything happen in the Qianjun region? It's probably because he's still cultivating. The mountain-shattering bull's blood essence has the best effect on foundation establishment. With a stronger body, he'll open more apertures. That's not it. Bai Feng hurriedly said, 100 drops of blood essence. I did some calculations. At most, it should be enough for him to open 10 apertures. It should be about time for him to come out. Why don't I go in and take a look? He might not have used it up yet. He might be absorbing yuan qi to cultivate after using it up. Don't be anxious. Elder Huang comforted him a little. Beside him, another old man said indifferently, don't believe him. This kid might want to go in and cultivate himself. He might be crazy from poverty. When he sees an opportunity, he wants to enter the mystic realm. Bai Feng was embarrassed and spouted nonsense. I'm not that kind of person. Our Department of Divine Arts is rich and generous. We won't be short of money. Before he could finish, the old man picked up an incomparably exquisite teapot from the side. He muttered, I heard that this was used by Hong Tan. It's been used for 50 years. It's a good item. I spent 10 merit points to buy it on the black market. I wonder if it's true. Bai Feng was in a daze. F***ck. I packed it up for sale. Why would it appear here? No, F***ck, you sold a teapot for 10 merit points. I packed a whole bunch and only sold it for 80 merit points. There were at least dozens of items better than the teapot. Black merchant. Bai Feng cursed in his heart. He actually dared to scam me. No, after thinking about it, that fellow probably didn't scam me. Instead, it was this old fellow in front of me. He's really rich. 10 merit points to buy this thing. As he thought about this, he almost forgot about Suyu. Looking at the old man playing with the teapot, Bai Feng coughed lightly and said, this is definitely not something my teacher used. The one he used is still in the research center. How could it be leaked? Is that so? The old man smiled and said, I heard that recently, someone found old Qian to make a batch of things. Could it be that you, Bai Feng, used a fake to fool your teacher? Bai Feng could not hold it in anymore and said angrily, Elder Qian said that he would not leak it out. He actually dared to sell me. I'll go look for him. Cough cough. The old man hurriedly said, don't. He also let it slip. It's not a big deal. Don't look for it. Don't worry, we won't tell Elder Hong that the items he uses are all fake. Don't worry. Bai Feng gritted his teeth and said, what my master uses are all real. What you bought is fake. Right, right, right. The old man hurriedly nodded. He had almost cheated his old friend. It was better to go along with Bai Feng. If you say so, we will just barely believe it. This guy was really inhuman. He even sold his master's family fortune. Elder Hong was also not in the academy. Otherwise, he could have sent him to his death in advance. Bai Feng's expression changed. After a long while, he muttered, I can't do anything about it. Who asked him to leave nothing behind? Principal Zhou and the others are not people who want to scam my senior brother. What can I do? I still have to struggle. It's not my fault. It's all my master's fault. Without money, I can't do anything about it. There was nothing left to sell in the house. The things that my master used had the name of a Shanghai realm master-level civilization master. They were worth at least a bit of money. Not to mention, just those rubbish things that his master had sold for a total of 800 merit points. He was shocked. The two elders did not say anything. When it came to these matters, it was better for them to keep their mouths shut. Bai Feng could curse, but they could not. At the same time, Su Yu did not use up all his blood essence as Bai Feng had expected. He only used about 60 drops, and he had already opened 16 apertures. He had used up 18 drops at the beginning and opened 6 of them. A few of them were not opened with blood essence. He had used up more than 40 drops at the end and had opened 10 apertures. Su Yu was at the second level of Qianjun realm. He was shocked himself. Opening the apertures here was too fast. There are still 8 more apertures to the third level of Qianjun realm. Can I open them successfully? He had used up more than half of his blood essence and had less than 40 drops left. Su Yu was not sure if he could open the remaining 8 apertures. If he could enter the third level of Qianjun realm directly. This secret realm can definitely help people open their apertures. Su Yu made a judgment in his heart. It could definitely be done. At this moment, his physical body was much stronger than before. Su Yu tried to blast the air with his fist, but without the use of a battle technique, it actually produced an explosive sound in the air. The number of apertures I have opened seems to have exceeded teachers. It's just that the time isn't up to par, but it should be able to exceed 3 hours. There were still about 40 drops of blood essence left. Continue. Su Yu did not think any further and continued to cultivate. Drops of blood essence were devoured, and the body-strengthening art was activated again and again. Those apertures were temporarily opened, once again absorbing large amounts of yuan qi. Su Yu only felt extremely good. Fortunately, he had used the mountain-shattering bull's blood essence and opened the atlas. The body-strengthening art was also the best cultivation method to temper the body. At least in Su Yu's opinion, that was how it was able to allow him to open so many apertures so easily. If it was something else, even the 10,000 Stone Realm's origin storage art wouldn't work. Chen Qi and the others actually want to steal my blood essence, they're going too far. The more Su Yu thought about it, the angrier he got. Fortunately, it wasn't stolen. That dragon silkworm's blood essence was definitely not as good as the mountain-breaking ox's. If the dragon silkworm's blood essence was devoured, could he open the manual? Could the cultivation method that was opened cultivate the body? Could it open the apertures? There was a high chance that it would not work. You're going too far. You almost cut off my path of cultivation. We're not done yet. Su Yu was extremely angry. At this moment, he deeply understood what it meant to vent his anger on others. In any case, he would vent his anger at this time. Who asked the mountain-breaking ox essence blood to be so effective? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 328, Chapter 97 is as outstanding as me, 1. Chapter 328, Chapter 97 is as outstanding as me, 1. 3 hours later. Bai Feng was really getting anxious. Still not out. Bai Feng frowned as he looked at the two elders. Elder Huang hesitated for a moment before saying, "If we go to investigate and interfere with the other party's cultivation, it will be a little troublesome. We are Ling Yun. Once we enter, the yuan qi will automatically gather over. Then I'll go, and I'll soar into the sky." Nonsense, isn't it the same if you go? The yuan qi will automatically gather. The yuan qi mystic realm was like this. Once you entered, the yuan qi would gather and automatically fill your acupuncture points. With their abilities, entering it would easily affect Su Yu. Previously, Bai Feng wanted to enter, but he was just saying that. Elder Huang hesitated before saying, "Why don't we let Qianjun go in to take a look? I'm mainly worried that he will be disturbed. If he really has talent." Bai Feng understood what he meant. If Su Yu really had talent and was very talented, he might still be refining his acupoints at this moment. Once he was disturbed and missed this opportunity to improve, it would be very unworthy. "Bai Feng, your disciple, to be honest, do you think he can hold on until now?" Bai Feng calmed down, took a deep breath, and thought for a while. He nodded and said, "It's possible. He has talent and enough tenacity. I'm a little worried, he clearly can't take it anymore. If he insists, he might hurt himself." Of course Su Yu had talent. If he did not have talent, he, Bai Feng, would still need to brag to him. Wasn't he just afraid of being slapped in the face? That was why he said that he could hold on for 3 hours. Reality proved that he had been slapped in the face for 3 hours. After thinking for a moment, Bai Feng said, "I'm still worried about letting others in. How about this, I'll have to trouble the two of you to use the Yuan Qi mirror to observe the flow of Yuan Qi. If it's still flowing, then he's still cultivating. I can also be at ease." Yuan Qi mirror. Elder Huang said in a deep voice, "The Yuan Qi mirror has the effect of prying into Yuan Qi. It often involves a cultivator's cultivation secrets. This is something that no one agrees to. I'm his teacher. As long as I agree, it's fine." Bai Feng made the final decision. Elder Huang did not say anything else. He exchanged glances with the other elder and the two nodded at the same time. In the next moment, both of them shouted at the same time. "Wang!" Space rippled and in the blink of an eye, a mirror appeared in the void. At that moment, red dots appeared in the mirror. In the outermost area, there was only a small red dot. Around the red dot, a ripple that was like a flowing water was flowing, converging towards the red dot. Elder Huang waved his hand. Other than the red dot, the other areas were all dark. That was because others were cultivating. The Yuan Qi mirror had the effect of prying. Other than Su Yu, prying into other people's cultivation was a big taboo. For them to use it, it also required both of them to agree. Still cultivating. Elder Huang opened his mouth and said in surprise, "This Yuan Qi flow is very fast. It's almost as fast as 10,000 stones. Your student is not simple." Bai Feng heaved a sigh of relief and said with a smile, "It's fine as long as you are still cultivating. Who doesn't have some secrets? Can a genius be like an ordinary student?" With that said, he said with a chuckle, "This kid gave me a fright. It looks like I gained quite a lot this time." With that said, Bai Feng coughed lightly and said, "That, the two of you can put away the Yuan Qi mirror. Isn't it bad to pry into the secrets of our lineage? F***ck. The two elders cursed in their hearts at the same time. Who asked us to use it just now? Now, it has become a secret to pry into the secrets of your lineage. Have some face." The two of them had black faces as the mirror in the air automatically dispersed. They no longer paid attention to Bai Feng. This bastard had turned hostile and did not acknowledge them. They could not be bothered to talk to him. Instead, they paid some attention to Su Yu. This new student was quite impressive. I wonder if he can last a little longer. It would be best if he can break the record of that person from Zhangjin College. Just like that, the few of them waited once again. At this moment, they felt much more at ease. The Yuan Qi was still flowing, and its speed was not slow. Su Yu might be able to last for a while longer. As for Su Yu's absorption of Yuan Qi so fast, just as Bai Feng said, who did not have secrets among geniuses. In this world, civilized masters were the most mysterious group. Do not pry into the secrets of civilized masters. It could be due to divine runes, other factors, or even bloodline factors. There was no need to investigate, as long as it was not someone from the Myriad clan religion. As for Su Yu, since he was accepted by Bai Feng, there was naturally a need to investigate. It was just that Su Yu himself did not know about it. 3 hours, 4 hours, 4.5 hours. Bai Feng's expression became increasingly strange. Could it be that this kid was really going to break that bastard's record? At the same time, Su Yu had already used up his blood essence. The Myriad clan atlas was no longer opened. 23 openings. He was only one opening away from the 3rd level of Qianjun. This was the reason why Su Yu refused to leave. At that moment, he was desperately absorbing Yuan Qi. He was relying on the Ares art and not the body-strengthening art. He refused to accept it. He was so close. Wouldn't it be good to enter the 3rd level of Qianjun? But there was no blood essence. Just like that, he grinded for half an hour. He refused to leave no matter what. If he left, it would be a loss. I'll just open another aperture. Su Yu prayed. After opening the aperture and entering the 3 realms of Qianjun, he would be able to connect the aperture once again, forming a complete circuit. Then, he would be able to absorb more Yuan Qi. Otherwise, once he left, he would have to open the last aperture. That would require at least 7 to 8 drops of Yuan Qi liquid to form a circuit. But this was his only chance. He did not have the chance to enter the Yuan Qi mystic realm. Open another aperture and save at least 40 merit points. Open it for me. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 329, Chapter 97 is as excellent as me. Chapter 329, Chapter 97 is as excellent as me. Su Yu roared in his heart. Seeing that the other acupuncture points were already overflowing with vitality, if he did not open his acupuncture points, he would be forced to leave. Su Yu hardened his heart, gritted his teeth, and suddenly took out another drop of blood essence. Iron-winged bird blood essence. He had exchanged 30 drops with Xia Huyo the last time. After these few days, Su Yu only had 1 drop a day. Until today, he only had 10 drops of blood essence left. Originally, he was reluctant to use this. In addition, the iron-winged bird's blood essence was not of much help in tempering his body. But now, he did not care anymore. It was not like he was directly using his blood essence to temper his body. What he needed was a powerful cultivation technique. More temporary acupuncture points were used to absorb Yuan Qi to temper his acupuncture points. Devour. At the next moment, large amounts of Yuan Qi gathered once again. At that moment, the acupuncture points that Su Yu had opened seemed to have put down a heavy burden. It immediately made him feel much more relaxed. That's it. Su Yu was overjoyed. That's it. He just needed to hold on for a while longer. Soon, the final opening showed signs of opening. In the end, his blood essence energy was depleted in a short while. Damn it! Su Yu cursed inwardly. He did not know if it was worth it. He swallowed another drop of iron-winged bird's blood essence. This time, the final opening opened successfully with a loud boom. Su Yu quickly connected the 36 acupuncture points of the God of War technique and the 45 acupuncture points of the 9 apertures of the Yuan opening technique. The acupuncture points flickered with light and soon formed a net-like circuit. Boom! Once the circuit was formed, Su Yu felt his body shake continuously and large amounts of black substances were expelled from his pores. This was the effect of the blood essence refinement. In reality, Su Yu did not use the blood essence to refine his body. Instead, he used the body strengthening technique and the Na Yuan technique to cultivate through the picture book. As a result, the body strengthening technique's effect on strengthening the body was not inferior to the blood essence itself. The Na Yuan technique's effect on strengthening one's body was very weak. From the looks of it, the body-strengthening technique of the mountain-breaking ox clan was extremely suitable for tempering one's body. Foundation establishment. What one builds is the foundation of the body. Only when the body is stronger than those of the same level can one defeat those of the same level. Everyone was at the critical juncture. Cultivating was an advanced version of the war god technique. Whoever's body was stronger would have a greater chance of victory. At that moment, Suyu knew that he could not stay for long. He no longer opened his aperture. Instead, he began to absorb large amounts of yuan qi to strengthen his physical body. One aperture after another was flickering with light, emitting bursts of radiance. It made Suyu look as if he had walked out from the light. Opening his eyes, Suyu looked not far away. That was the 10,000 stone area. He could feel the denser yuan qi and the more powerful pressure there, but he knew that he could not withstand it at the moment. The next time I come in, I must go there to temper myself. The next time I do enough accumulation, I will come in again. I will not stop until I suck it up. The yuan qi that he, a fellow who had just entered the thousand mass realm, absorbed was like a drop in the bucket to the entire yuan qi mystic realm. It might not even be a drop in the ocean. Even in this tiny region, where Qianjun realm was located, the amount of yuan qi he absorbed did not seem to have changed at all. I absorbed at least 100 drops. Suyu calculated in his heart. He felt that he had absorbed at least 100 drops of yuan qi liquid. He had made a huge profit. Even the consumption was terrifying. 100 drops of mountain-breaking ox essence blood and 2 drops of iron-winged bird essence blood. All of them will be calculated as the official price. 1,510 merit points. Suyu was secretly speechless. He had spent so many merit points to cultivate to the third stage of the Thousand June realm. He had to use merit points to buy time. If he did not have the essence blood and yuan qi mystic realm, he could only absorb the weak yuan qi of human realm existences. In the southern yuan, he might need several years to cultivate to the third stage of the Thousand June realm. And in the Civilization Academy, he spent a few hours, but the prerequisite was to burn money. If I were to soar into the sky and absorb this yuan qi, would it condense into yuan qi liquid and take it away? Suyu suddenly had such a thought. He thought about it and felt that there might be something wrong. If not, it seemed like he could enter even if he were to soar into the sky. Wouldn't he have been sucked dry long ago? Yuan character divine text. At this moment, even though Suyu did not see the divine text, he still felt a sense of yearning. A divine text had created an extremely powerful space. After nearly 5 hours, Suyu walked out. He did not persist any longer. There was no need. He had opened 24 apertures and formed a circuit. If he stayed any longer, he would have to expend the 10,000 stone realm iron-wing bird essence blood. It might not be worth it. After all, it was already very difficult for him to open his apertures. It would be a waste to let him absorb more yuan qi at this moment. He might as well slow down. There was a knock on the door. Elder Huang waved his hand to open the door. At this moment, Suyu's clothes were dirty and his face was dirty. However, his eyes were exceptionally bright. After opening his acupoints, his body had been cleansed. Especially now that he could not restrain himself and had just broken through, his aura was even more imposing. In fact, he looked even more imposing than the two Lingyun and Baifeng present. Baifeng looked at Suyu and clicked his tongue. This kid was really good. It was just a pity that he didn't seem to have broken that guy's record. Of course, it didn't matter. This thing wasn't an official record, so breaking it wouldn't bring any benefits. Baifeng's eyes flashed like a light as he looked at Suyu. Suyu felt as if someone had seen through him, and in the next moment, Baifeng retracted his gaze. A brilliant smile appeared on his face. 3 layers of 1,000 caddies. Baifeng smiled, and his smile was exceptionally bright. The two elders at the side didn't spy on Suyu, but when they heard Bai Feng's words, they couldn't help but reveal surprised expressions. When they looked at Suyu again, they were somewhat appreciative. Genius. Monstrous. This freshman named Suyu, not to mention anything else, just his talent in cultivation wasn't inferior to that person from Zhangjin College. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 330, Chapter 97 is just as outstanding as me. 3. Chapter 330, Chapter 97 is just as outstanding as me. 3 levels of critical mass, Old Huang sighed. Not bad, very good. Compared to your teacher. He didn't even finish his sentence. Bai Feng laughed and said, almost the same as me. Previously, I was afraid that it would affect your confidence, so I was too embarrassed to say it. Back then, I stayed in there for 5 hours. After I came out, I was also 3 levels of critical mass, with 24 enlightenment points. Bai Feng sighed and said, I originally thought that there was no justice for me to be so outstanding. My students can't be so outstanding anymore. Otherwise, wouldn't the other factions die of envy and jealousy? In the end, I didn't expect that. Suyu, you're just as outstanding as me. This time, Bai Feng did not belittle Suyu. Instead, he raised himself up and said with a laugh, Suyu, very good. You didn't lose your teacher's face. Our department is destined to be strong. Now, it seems that you have this foundation. The two elders rolled their eyes. Are you embarrassed? You are really thick-skinned. Suyu was a little surprised and said, Teacher, you also directly came out of closed-door cultivation at the 3rd stage of Qianjun. Yes. Bai Feng sighed and said, that's right. Actually, I'm not the only one. There are also a few people like you who came out of closed-door cultivation at the 3rd stage of Qianjun. Zhangjin College also has some. After all, this world does not lack geniuses. Although we are very outstanding, there are also many outstanding people. Bai Feng sighed and said, of course, I'm a little better than you. Once I entered the school, I came straight to this mystical realm. You delayed me by a month. It seems that you are a month slower than me. I don't know if you can catch up with me. Suyu had never asked Bai Feng when he flew. At this moment, he could not help but ask, Teacher, how old were you when you flew? Me? Bai Feng smiled and said, I was actually 1 year older than you when I entered the school. I entered the school at the age of 19, and I took flight at the age of 22. Suyu was stunned for a moment. 3 years? He could not hold it in any longer and said in a low voice, I heard that Wu Lan's older sister, Wuxia, took flight at the age of 20. Bai Feng smiled faintly and said, yes, she was 2 years younger than me. We took flight at the same year. I took flight at the age of 22, and she took flight at the age of 20. Actually, I was 1 year earlier than her. Hu Wensheng was 1 year earlier than me. Xia Yuan and Wu Qi were in the same year, and Lu Hong and I were in the same year. Within 3 years, we could actually be considered to be in the same year. That's why the outside world says that we're all students in the same year, but in reality, we're not. Then. Suyu's gaze was strange. Then why are you still so confident? Bai Feng smiled faintly and said, flying in the sky in 3 years, is it very late? After saying that, he looked at Old Huang and said with a smile, you can ask Old Huang and the others. Is your teacher stronger than me, or is she stronger than Wuqi? Suyu was a little surprised. In the next moment, he seemed to have thought of something. Sure enough, although Old Huang was dissatisfied with Bai Feng's bragging, at this moment, he still smiled and said, it's different. Before you soar in the sky, you need to draw more divine runes, so your speed in the sky has always been a little slower than the others. Bai Feng soared in the sky for 3 years, and her speed is indeed very fast. In terms of talent, she is not inferior to Wuxia. Bai Feng said unhappily, Elder Huang, you're obviously stronger than her. Elder Huang smiled but did not say anything. That might not be the case. No one denied Bai Feng's genius, but no one would believe that he was definitely stronger than Xia Yuan or Wuqi. Su Yu understood. He had also thought of it before. Before Bai Feng flew, he had heard from Xia Huyo that she seemed to have drawn 12 divine runes. That 3 years of flying was indeed very fast. Bai Feng smiled and said, therefore, if you can soar into the sky within 3 years, then you will be able to catch up to teacher. Now, it seems that there is still hope. After all, your performance in the 1000 June realm is as outstanding as teacher's. Old Huang did not want to speak at all. This fellow was completely shameless in order to maintain his face in front of his disciple. Bai Feng coughed lightly and said with a smile, let's go. After saying that, he turned his head to look at the 2 old men. He smiled and said, the 2 of you, so you still has the bet with him. Before the bet ends, don't tell anyone about the matter of the 3,000 lives. If we really lose more than 1,000 merit points. Although our department doesn't lack money, the 2 of you will have to compensate us a little. Elder Huang could not help but curse angrily, scram far away. This fellow was here, and he had gotten angry several times out of thin air. If you don't get lost, do you believe that I'll expose you? Immediately. After Bai Feng left with Su Yu, Elder Huang said, Old Nie, what do you think? What do you mean, what do I think? This Su Yu. Elder Nie said calmly, there are geniuses every year, and there are quite a number of evildoers. What can you see when you reach the 3rd layer of the critical mass? We'll talk about it when we reach the sky. If we don't reach the sky, aren't there still many monsters stuck at the peak of recuperation? Only when he reaches the sky will he be called a true genius. Now. It's still too early to say anything. That's true. Old man Huang nodded and said with a smile, once Hong Tan left, Bai Feng took in this student. I saw that Hong Tan left in a hurry. Maybe it was this kid Bai Feng who instigated it, afraid that Hong Tan would snatch his disciple. Elder Nie was stunned for a moment, and then he couldn't help laughing. He cursed in a low voice, you're not a human. Don't say it, it's really possible. Elder Huang said with a smile, besides, Hong Tan could do such a thing, what do you think? At that time, Chen Yong was clearly the one who wanted to take in Bai Feng, but in the end, he became Chen Yong's junior brother. Do you think Bai Feng couldn't guard against him? Cough, cough, cough. Old man Nye no longer kept a straight face. He almost laughed until he was out of breath. There are so many divine inscriptions, none of them are decent. Fortunately, Chen Yong took Wuxia in after that. Wuxia did well and made it into the top 100 within a few years. As he spoke, he fell silent. Wuxia had just been seriously injured and dropped from the top 100 not long ago. Moreover, there was probably no hope of him making it up in the near future. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 331, Chapter 97 is as outstanding as me, 4. Chapter 331, Chapter 97 is as outstanding as me, 4. The battle at the academy seemed to be out of control. Elder Huang also thought of this, he said, I think Su Yu's temperament is also fast. Temperament, Qianjun, wait a few more months. By the end of the year, he'll probably be able to enter the 6th layer of Qianjun. With temperament. He won't be able to enter this year, but he'll have a chance to enter the top 100 next year. It looks like there'll be a battle in the top 100 next year. And next year? There will be a battle in a few months this year. Old man Nye said in a deep voice, I secretly looked at those evildoers this year. There are already people who have entered the 7th layer of Qianjun. So fast. Yes, it's so fast. They're all holding it in now. Just you wait and see. In a few months, someone will enter the 10,000 stone level, or even the 9th layer of Qianjun. The top 100 rankings will rise. Suyu didn't know what the two old men were talking about. At this moment, he was still in a state of joy. He had rushed into the 1000 June 3rd level within a day. Although it had consumed a lot of energy, he was still extremely happy. The 1000 June 3rd level, he had opened 36 openings. If he had cultivated the 1000 June technique like his father, he would have already reached the 1000 June 9th level. He was happy and excited. Bai Feng, who was standing at the side, was also happy for him, but in his heart, there was an inexplicable desolation. I can't even lie anymore. How embarrassing. I even lied for 3 hours and gained 12 enlightenment points. In the blink of an eye, I was slapped in the face by this brat. Fortunately, my skin was thick enough. In the blink of an eye, I overturned my previous lie and lied again. In the future, I can't double it anymore. I have to double it by 10 times. Bai Feng sighed. If it wasn't for the fact that many people knew about the time he took to fly, he would have said that he took 3 months to fly. Seeing that Suyu was still excited, Bai Feng coughed lightly and said, "Don't be too excited. It's just the beginning, not even the ability to cultivate. The foundation of a civilized master is still willpower. Thousands of tons of stones, this is all excessive. Flying is the foundation." "I got it, teacher." Suyu became serious and hurriedly said, "I won't be proud. I'll go back tonight and cultivate. Next month, I won't be the class monitor anymore. I'll cultivate for more than 12 hours every day." Bai Feng was speechless. "Why the F***ck are you slacking off a little? You're already at the critical moment today. Why are you still so disciplined? You've already said what I want to say. What else can I say? I don't have a sense of accomplishment as a teacher. Can't you say that you've made great progress today and that you should rest for a few days before I scold you and tell you not to be proud?" Bai Feng's heart was tired, and he turned his head to think. He could only say, "That's right, but you still have to pay attention to the combination of work and rest. Don't work too hard. Also, you can be a little arrogant and not be complacent. After all, that fellow from the Great Zhou Manor who's 1 year older than you is about to ascend to the 6th level." Bai Feng felt an inexplicable sense of desolation. Since when did he have to borrow foreign evildoers to suppress his own disciple? Was he not a genius enough? He could clearly suppress others by accepting them. Back then, when his master had taught him, he had used himself to suppress him. Now, he actually felt that he was unable to suppress him. Sigh. A sigh sounded softly. Suyu seemed to have understood something as he said seriously, "Teacher, don't worry. When I have money in the future, I will think of a way to return the blood essence that I used today." Bai Feng rolled his eyes. Who the F***ck was sighing about the blood essence? He seemed to have thought of something. Bai Feng said seriously, "Learn more of the Myriad clan language. Otherwise, I'm afraid that you won't even understand the Myriad clan language when the time comes. When I entered the school that year, I mastered 35 major languages. There are a total of 120 major and minor languages." Bai Feng's confidence suddenly rose. He smiled and said, "You also have to master these languages as soon as possible. Otherwise, what will you do when you learn the divine language? Don't tell me that you will pick all the languages that you know. The divine languages that you know may not be suitable for you, nor may they be powerful. Do you understand?" Confidence came. "Back then, I mastered 35 major languages." Suyu said in surprise, 35 major languages. Is there a major division of the language of the 10,000 races? Of course. Bai Feng said calmly, they are all part of the demon clan. Is there only one type of demon clan? They are all part of the Tiger Clan. Is there only one type of Tiger Clan? This can be considered a major category. Of course, there are many categories. I'm talking about my classification method. You don't have to worry about it. Oh. Suyu nodded. 120 languages. Amazing. He used to know 20 languages. These days, he had been attending every class and was exposed to 12 new languages. However, he did not learn them. He could only say that he had a general grasp of some of the basic languages. There was still a long way to go. But I keep feeling that teacher is bragging. Suyu silently cursed in his heart. 120 languages, really? Teacher, it's not like I don't know anything. I've been in the academy for more than a month. Last time, I remember a teacher saying that the academy's most powerful researcher grasped 370 languages. The most powerful new student grasped 79 languages when he entered the academy. He didn't say it was you. Could it be that he mastered 120 languages after entering the academy? Of course, this was already very impressive. Although Suyu felt that his teacher had a little habit of bragging, he reluctantly believed it. Forget it, there was no need to mind it. Previously, he felt that Baifeng didn't value him. However, when Baifeng casually threw the blood essence worth over 1,000 merit points to him, he felt that his teacher was still very cute. Although he was poor, he was still considered generous. If he was really rich, his teacher should still be very generous. It was a pity that he did not have the money. P.S. I have a small idea. I will secretly tell everyone that I have done something to the second place on the new book monthly votes leaderboard. Should we take first place? You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 332, Chapter 98 How Lucky Are You? 1. Chapter 332, Chapter 98 How Lucky Are You? 1. It was already afternoon when they returned to the research center. The monthly examination of the academy was to be held on the 30th, which was the day after tomorrow. There were no classes in the academy this afternoon, so Suyu was ready to go upstairs to continue his cultivation as soon as he returned. Baifeng was somewhat impressed by this kid, but he still stopped Suyu. Don't be too tired these 2 days. Pay attention and rest well. Baifeng reminded him, I've looked at your willpower. You're getting close to the recuperation stage. Recuperation is also equivalent to the 10,000 stone stage of the warrior's path. However, most civilized masters don't possess any powerful combat strength in the recuperation stage. Instead, they're very weak, even weaker than 1,000 caddies. This is because these students lack many things in the recuperation stage. True recuperation can fight against 10,000 stones, or even reverse the process and soar into the sky. Baifeng said seriously, in the early stages, I was free range for you. Once you recuperate, you will realize that you are busier than you are now. Therefore, cherish the time you have now. For the challenge, just be a seasoning. Relax a little and don't be too serious. Suyu nodded and did not care too much. So what if I'm busy? It's only 24 hours a day, how can I do 25 hours of work? Thinking of this, Suyu thought of another matter. Teacher, you said before that Zhanjiang College and our Civilization College will have some exchanges. Why isn't there any news? They've just entered the school and are all cultivating. Who has the time to have any exchanges? At least give them some time to improve. Baifeng smiled and said, an exchange? That would have to wait until the geniuses of Zhanjiang College improve and enter Qianjun or even 10,000 stones before they would initiate an exchange. What, you can't wait to get beaten up? Don't think that you are very powerful just because you are at the 3rd stage of Qianjun. In previous years, the opponents have all come to the 10,000 stone realm for an exchange. Suyu was speechless and said, 10,000 stones, these guys cultivate too quickly. That's normal. They don't need to cultivate willpower. A genius entering the school is like 1,000 tons. After half a year, it's normal for them to advance to Wuxia. I got it. The master and disciple exchanged a few words and quickly went back to their own matters. Third underground level, laboratory. Bai Feng sighed. Su Yu's progress was too fast. He originally thought that Su Yu would need at least 3 months to enter a state of recuperation, but now it seemed that he would need at most 10 days. Coincidentally, there was another problem with his senior brother. Some of his plans had been disrupted. That bastard Lu Hong, he's in seclusion at this time. After cursing, Bai Feng made a call and left. A moment later, he changed his clothes and directly left the laboratory. The library. It was one of the important places in the academy, and its importance was not even lower than the mystic realm area. On the top floor, in a large office. Bai Feng pushed the door open and entered. Inside, a refined-looking man saw Bai Feng and said with some heartache, "Looking at you, have you been studying those things these past few days? Aren't you afraid that you'll tire yourself out?" "It's fine." Bai Feng was very carefree. In front of Qin Yong, he was very open. When he first entered the academy, the first person who had taken a fancy to him was Qin Yong. He had almost become Qin Yong's student. When Bai Feng sat down and poured tea for him, Qin Yong smiled and said helplessly, "Did you sell teachers things?" "No." Bai Feng denied it. Soon, he laughed and said, "I sold them. Not to mention, they are quite valuable." "Senior brother, how much are we short of now?" "About 5,000 merit points." "That much?" Bai Feng frowned, thought for a moment and said, "If it doesn't work, I'll find time to go to the celestial battlefield once. It's enough for me to kill some more. Don't mess around." Qin Yong shook his head and said, "Even if we make up for the deficit, the chances of my position being saved are not very high. We used up the 10,000 clans original. They can just find an excuse. Even if you make up for the deficit, they can find fault with you even if the original is gone." As he spoke, Qin Yong smiled and said, "So I didn't hand over the merit points you gave me before. I kept them all. While I'm still in my position, your student should quickly enter a state of recuperation. Come and see more of the 10,000 clans original and outline the divine text. Since we're going to lose our position anyway, it's better to earn more before we leave." "Senior brother." Bai Feng was somewhat unwilling. With a gloomy expression, he said, "By doing this, they're cutting off our foundation. Everyone knows about the situation in the library. They've also sent their own people over. If they really do this, we won't have a good time, but we won't let them have a good time either. Since you're still here, we might as well close the library so that their people won't be able to come. Stop fooling around." Qin Yong berated, "The purpose of the academy is still to nurture geniuses. If you don't allow geniuses to enter, then you'll interfere with their cultivation. The loss would be the entire academy, the entire Great Xia Manor, and even the strength of the human race." Bai Feng said angrily, "Those who are capable can help the world. We can't even protect ourselves now, so why should we care about them? It's not that I'm selfish, it's that they won't give us a way out. They're going too far. If we really cause a ruckus, then we'll cause a big ruckus. Are we afraid of them?" Qin Yong said softly, "Cause a big ruckus? How can we cause a big ruckus? There are countless geniuses and experts in the single divine literature department, but what about us? There are 5 of us. If it were you, who would you choose between the single divine literature department and the multiple divine literature department? You really don't care about that guy with the surname Wan?" Qin Yong said with a chuckle, "I understand what Manor Head Wan means. If the multiple divine literature department can struggle to survive, then there is a need to survive. If they are eliminated, then the natural selection of things means that the multiple divine literature department really isn't suitable for the academy." Bulsh *T. Bai Feng cursed in a low voice, feeling somewhat indignant. After a long while, he said, originally, it wasn't good for me to open my mouth at this time, but since it has come to this point, there's no reason for me not to open my mouth. Su Yu's progress is very fast, and he's about to enter a state of recuperation. After entering a state of recuperation, I'm prepared to officially let him enter the multi-god text cultivation. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 333, Chapter 98 was really lucky, too. Chapter 333, Chapter 98 was really lucky, too. He's about to recover. Chen Yong looked surprised and quickly said, didn't he? This kid stays at the fragment chamber all day and night. He cultivates as if he doesn't care about his life. His progress is very fast. Bai Feng explained and said, what I'm worried about now is which system should he cultivate. Is he like me, cultivating the dragon slaying technique, or is he like teacher, cultivating both offense and defense? Chen Yong smiled and said, why can't he cultivate the power of protection like me? Bai Feng glanced at him and couldn't bear to be hit. After a long while, he said, that. I think it's better to fight. Being a turtle, cough cough, cultivating the power of protection is too demoralizing. Chen Yong glared at him. This kid liked to talk nonsense. Ask him his own opinion. Don't make decisions for him, Chen Yong said. Everyone has their own advantages and disadvantages. Like you cultivate the dragon slaying technique. Your offensive and killing methods are first class, but your other methods aren't very good. If you're of the same level as me and you can't win 3 attacks, I'll definitely kill you. Bai Feng said helplessly, that's true. Senior brother, I can't break that turtle shell of yours. Nonsense again. Chen Yong stared at him, and Bai Feng laughed dryly. Very quickly, he said, all right, then I'll ask him myself when the time comes. Actually, I still hope that he will follow my path. In this day and age, what's the use of having a strong defense? Just say that senior brother, you're a passive type. Unless someone takes the initiative to hit you, otherwise, hitting someone is like scratching an itch. Shut up. Chen Yong was a little angry. He shouted softly and continued, you came to me because you want him to come to the library, right? No problem. Once he enters a state of recuperation, you can ask him to come over. You don't have to care about consuming a few more books. That's good. I was worried before. Bai Feng heaved a sigh of relief, but he was still a little indignant. Senior brother said it so casually, but it seemed that he had already made up his mind to give up the position of chief curator. Thinking of this, he asked, how is Wuxia? She's fine. Her recovery isn't too bad. She should be able to recover in about 3 months. It's just that she's a little delayed in her cultivation. You're going too far. Bai Feng said angrily, the golden period of cultivation is delayed by 3 months. The students on the top 100 list have all improved by a large margin. Wuxia is still stuck in the same spot. Even if she recovers, it'll be even more difficult for her to charge forward again. Then, he said angrily, when we fought with them back then, I defeated their people many times. Under normal circumstances, I would only be slightly injured. Unless I really couldn't hold back, I might be able to seriously injure them. Now, they have started to attack us heavily. Is this still a competition? Bai Feng was no longer gentle. He said a little irascible, what do they want to do? Kill them all. Chen Yong pressed his hand, indicating for him to be quiet for a while. When Bai Feng sat down again, Chen Yong said, this matter. It's all your fault. You're too conspicuous. After enduring for so many years, why do you have to defeat Hu Wenqing in one strike and make them feel pressured? Bai Feng gritted his teeth and said, yes, I was impulsive. But my original goal was to let Su Yu know that I'm strong in the divine literature department. Otherwise, this kid might really run to the weapon forging department. We haven't had a new member for several years. I'm just recruiting a new member. If they didn't force us, would we need to show our strength to the outside world? Chen Yong didn't say much. After he finished speaking, he said, the other party heavily injured Jia Jia and couldn't hold back. Jia Jia wanted to be strong and refused to admit defeat even if she died. You know that. At that time, when she was heavily injured, we had nothing to say. Senior brother, can you not be so soft? Bai Feng said unhappily, you have to find an excuse for the other party for everything. Are you one of us or one of them? That's how they are. The softer they are, the more they will bully you. I know that it's not suitable to popularize the school of multiple divine runes, but is it really that difficult to get a few monsters or upper-class students to enter the school? They are just afraid that we will rise up again and make them lose their power and position. They will lose their current glory. Bai Feng snorted. The struggles nowadays are no longer so pure. Back then, you could say that it's for the human race, the Great Xia Mansion, and the Academy. But now? Nonsense. With that, he continued, during Grandmaster's time, weren't there a lot of cultivators from the Divine Literature Department? Yes, most of them didn't achieve much and switched to the single Divine Literature Department. It cannot be denied that we were glorious and powerful in the past. If it weren't for Grandmaster and a few elders of the older generation who fell, how could this be? We aren't martial uncles either. Bai Feng mentioned Lu Wenyan, he sighed. Martial uncles and the rest of their generation were crippled because their pursuit was different. Their pursuit was higher. If we only looked at the Lingyun mountains and seas, it was obvious that we were stronger and could step into this realm. Lu Wenyan's generation was crippled not because they cultivated too much divine language. As long as we don't take the path of martial uncles and the rest, and just walk the path of the many divine languages, it won't be any different from the past. Why would we delay the students? Bai Feng was still unwilling. The decline of the multi-god literature department is an accident, not a certainty. As long as the entry threshold is higher, those ordinary students don't have to cultivate the multi-god literature. Just because we are powerful in the same level, we can't not let others understand, right? He felt that it was very laughable. Now, the excuse of the single god literature department suppressing them was this. They were afraid that if they were too strong, it would cause the students of the academy to be moved. T. Bai Feng had always felt that this excuse was T. Of course, the single god language faculty had their reasons for saying this. 50 years ago, this was proof. They were always using that generation as an example, but in reality, that was only an exception. That era, those fellows were too brilliant. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 334, Chapter 98 Luck is Really Good, 3. Chapter 334, Chapter 98 Luck is Really Good. There were indeed a large number of students who were yearning for their glory and wasting their golden cultivation time. Chen Yong pressed his hand again. Don't get excited. There are some things that are useless even if you get excited. When Master enters the mountains and seas, or when I enter the mountains and seas again, some things will naturally change. Then how long will it take? Bai Feng said gloomily, Master hasn't made any progress in the past few years, and so have you. Chen Yong could not help but laugh and did not continue talking about this. Changing the topic, he said, Suyu is actually going to enter the nurturing stage so soon. This is somewhat beyond my expectations. At the nurturing stage, our lineage needs a strong and vigorous willpower to be able to nurture more divine runes and not create a burden on the sea of will. After pondering for a moment, a crystal-clear jade bone appeared in Chen Yong's hand. Give this to him on my behalf. It'll be Uncle Master's first meeting gift. The skull of the divine beast of annihilation. Looking at the small jade bone, By phone was shocked. Senior brother, aren't you going to live? Giving this to Suyu? Are you crazy? This thing was given to you by master to celebrate your entry into Ling Yun. I don't have much use for it. Chen Yong chuckled. I originally wanted to give it to Jia Jia, but I don't think she'll be able to use it. Chen Yong sighed. Jia Jia's talent isn't bad. I think it's only a matter of time before she can draw 10 divine runes into the sky. However, if there are more, it'll be difficult. It won't be too much of a burden on her sea of consciousness. She can handle it. If it's Su Yu's words, to reach the recuperation stage so quickly, you previously said that he would draw more divine runes in one day, the recuperation stage might draw more divine runes. With this, the burden will be lighter and it'll be safer. Senior brother. Bai Feng was a little troubled, but when he thought about how his student was really talented, he gritted his teeth and took the small round jade bone. Then I'll keep it. I don't even know how much we spent on this bastard. After cursing Su Yu, Bai Feng took a deep breath. I'll urge him to enter the recuperation state as soon as possible. Then, before the end of the year, we'll see if there's any hope of making it into the top 100. It's best if we can sweep away those bastards from that school and let Jia Jia charge in again. This way, senior brother won't have to face a second inspection. Chen Yong smiled and said, don't force him. Cultivation isn't something that can be done in a day or two. It's not worth it to be injured. It doesn't matter if we really lose it. Anyway, we have no plans to recruit new people these few years. If we don't recruit new people, the influence of the library pavilion on US will be limited. I understand. Bai Feng didn't say anything else. He stood up and said, then I'll leave first. Oh right, my research has already entered the right track. If senior brother is fine, you can go and take a look. Don't stay here all day. This damn place. It's annoying to look at. Even though the library was good, it wasn't his home. Bai Feng was quite annoyed by looking at the 10,000 clans all day long. Got it. Take care of yourself. Don't delay your cultivation. Got it. Bai Feng turned around and left. After he left, Chen Yong sighed. Sometimes. He even wanted to close his master's research institute. The last time the academy decided to close down the research institute, he was in favor of it. Bai Feng was a one-track-minded fellow. Because of the research institute, his cultivation was already delayed. Now that his master wasn't around, he was even more focused on getting into the research institute. If this continued, when Lu Hong and the others all entered Ling Yun, he might still be able to soar into the sky. If this continues, you will be the one who will be delayed. Sighing, Chen Yong shook his head, hoping that his students would not be like him. Although research was important, and most of the civilized masters were doing research, it would be too much of a waste of his junior brother's talent if he continued to delve into research after not seeing any results for decades. August 29th. The day before the monthly test. Su Yu's willpower once again improved a little, reaching 49% of full capacity. He was just one step away from cultivating his character. He still hadn't been able to step into the cultivation state before the monthly test. However, this rate of improvement was already shocking to the world. After entering the academy for a month, Su Yu had reached the boundary of cultivation state in the blink of an eye from less than 30% of full capacity. This speed was enough to scare people. His physical strength had also entered the third stage of the critical mass realm. If this was placed in Zhanjiang College, it would be the highest level. On this day, Su Yu met Lu Hong, whom he hadn't seen for a long time. He met him on the way. Hello, Lu Laoshe. Even though he hated Lu Hong to the core, Su Yu knew that he couldn't afford to offend Lu Hong. Thus, he had to treat him with respect. Lu Hong saw Su Yu and smiled. His smile was still as bright as ever. Glancing at Su Yu and seeing the yuan qi fluctuations around him, Lu Hong's gaze wavered. He had stepped into Qianjun realm. It was very fast. No wonder Bai Feng valued this kid. This kid was indeed a genius. However, the more talented one was, the better. Before Su Yu showed his worth, before he showed his monstrous talent, suppressing Su Yu was useless because others did not know how powerful Su Yu was. Before this, he was prepared to make Su Yu stronger. Now, Su Yu himself had made rapid progress, which was very in line with his expectations. Lu Hong stopped, and Su Yu had no choice but to stop as well. Looking at Su Yu, Lu Hong chuckled and said, "Not bad. I heard that you and Lin Yao have an appointment to fight. Is that so?" "Yes." Su Yu did not deny it, and this could not be denied. However, he was deep in thought. "What, are you going to stand up for your student? Seeing that he was in danger, so you want to stop him?" Lu Hong did not have the intention at all. If he did not defeat Lin Yao, Su Yu would be a nobody. What was there to suppress? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 335, Chapter 98 was really lucky, 4. Chapter 335, Chapter 98 was really lucky, 4. Even Lin Yao was not worth mentioning. Lu Hong's thoughts stirred, and in the next moment. With a faint smile, he said, "The disputes between students have nothing to do with US teachers as long as we don't cross the line. But I just want to remind you not to participate in these meaningless competitions." Lu Hong shook his head and said, "You guys are too weak. It's better to develop quietly at this time. Don't be like your senior sister and get involved in it too early. Your senior sister was seriously injured by someone, but the source is actually still from you." Su Yu frowned. Lu Hong chuckled and said, "I'm just a little emotional. Bai Feng thought of a way to help you. He was quite diligent. Unfortunately, he implicated your senior sister. He defeated Hu Wensheng. This was a slap in the face to some people. Bai Feng was very difficult to deal with when he was in the air. After all, your senior uncle was Ling Yun and you were too weak. It just so happens that your senior sister is on the top 100 list. If we don't take it out on her, who will?" Lu Hong shook his head and said, "Bai Feng is also quite selfish. In order to fight for that mountain ox essence blood for you and to let you know the power of the multi-divine script, he cheated his senior brother and your senior sister." Su Yu's emotions were fluctuating. He resisted the urge to slap his face and said in a low voice, "I don't understand what teacher is telling me." "You don't understand?" Lu Hong smiled and said, "There's no need to understand. I just want to tell you that your little tricks against Lin Yao are alright, but against those top 100 students, the difference is too big. I'm just too lazy to participate in the battles of you people and treat it as a show. That's why I don't care about these things. The Qianjun realm isn't bad. However, among the geniuses of this batch, some have already stepped into the Qianjun 7th stage. You're still far from it." Lu Hong was still beaming. "Advise your teacher to keep a low profile, including yourself. Actually, it's no use even if you win against Lin Yao. It will only bring you more trouble. If I were you, it would be better if I lose to Lin Yao now. In the future, few people will pay attention to you." Su Yu clenched his fists and did not say a word. Lu Hong continued, "Are you worried that I will ask you for the mountain-shattering bull essence blood? Don't worry, I'll persuade Lin Yao to give up. I'm afraid that your department won't be able to take out a second portion of the mountain ox essence blood. Save some merit points and buy some healing medicine for your senior sister." He spoke very kindly, as if he was considerate of Su Yu in every way. But the more Su Yu heard, the more sullen he felt. There was never a moment more sullen than now. Su Yu raised his head and looked at Lu Hong. Looking at his smiling face, he only wanted to smash him with one punch. Lu Laoshi. I won't lose. Not only will you not lose, I will make you lose face. I will crush your student forcefully and let you know that strength is strength, and trash is trash. At this moment, he couldn't hold it in any longer. Lu Hong's words stimulated him time and time again, causing his emotions to rise and fall. Lu Hong smiled radiantly, "You kids just won't listen to my advice. Teacher is being kind. Don't keep thinking that teacher is trying to harm you. Teacher has heard that you even had a conflict with Qin Qi. He is already at the 7th stage of Qianjun realm, and his temperament has also reached the intermediate advanced stage. If you don't possess the strength of a million stone realm, you will probably be tortured and humiliated by him. Sai, you are only at Qianjun realm. How can you fight against him?" Lu Hong shook his head and walked away. As he walked, he sighed, "To truly participate in the competition of the academy, those who don't have the strength of the top 100 ranking are not qualified. You are too far off, unless..." Su Yu couldn't hear the rest of his words clearly. He could vaguely hear Lu Hong muttering to himself, "Unless you're lucky enough to pick up that lost heaven breaker in that lousy place in the library." Su Yu blinked his eyes. Heaven breaker? What was that? Based on what Lu Hong said, if he obtained it, would he have a chance of making it into the top 100? If he couldn't decide anything, he would have to ask Xia Huyo. After searching for a long time, Su Yu found Xia Huyo. When Xia Huyo heard that, he quickly said, "You don't even know this? It's a complementary cultivation technique for the Aries art." Complementary cultivation technique? Martial technique? Su Yu was stunned for a moment before he said, "Is Heaven Breaker very powerful?" Xia Huyo said speechlessly, "Martial techniques care about your own cultivation. Let's see how far you've cultivated it. How do you describe it as powerful or not? However, when you mentioned Heaven Breaker, I did recall something. Not long ago, when the black market was swept, someone had lost a copy of Heaven Breaker, the text of will. TSK. Xia Huyo laughed, "I heard that it was personally written by a high-level researcher from the Nine Heavens Academy. It was personally written by a Shanghai realm expert. Originally, it was going to be sold to those freaks this year, but the black market price was set at 1,500 merit points. In the end, when the seller ran away during the raid, he lost it. Recently, I've been looking everywhere, and the academy is also looking for it." I'm dying of laughter. Su Yu was in a daze. Mountain Sea Realm wrote it personally. That's right. Xia Hu sighed. Most of the writings of Will sold by the academy were written by Soaring Clouds or Ling Yun. There are too few of them that are truly written by Mountain Sea Realm. Demand exceeds supply. The moment they came out, even Ling Yun might rush to buy them. After all, the comprehension of different realms is different. I don't know what this senior researcher from the Nine Heavens Academy was interested in, but he suddenly wrote an article. In the end, it was booked long ago and sold to us. It was wiped out in an instant. Where did he lose it? Xia Huyo said speechlessly, "How would I know? I went to look for it myself. The academy is so big, and the guards were chasing after it that day. Who knows where he lost it? Haven't you found it yet?" No. After Xia Huyo said that, he said again, "Don't think about it. It's hard to say if it's true or not. I even suspect that it was stolen by someone and said that it was lost on purpose. Anyway, it's something from the black market. If it was stolen by someone, he would have used it secretly. No one would know." Su Yu blinked. Lu Hong. Lu Hong said that it was in the library. Was it true? How did he know? Su Yu could not help but ask, "Who is the seller of this article of will? Why? Do you want to get involved?" "I'm just asking." Xia Huyo glanced at him suspiciously and asked curiously, "Did you hear something and want to gloat?" Do you know that it was Lu Hong's people who lost it? As expected. Su Yu was just wondering how Lu Hong knew where it was lost. So it was his own people who lost it. This guy knows it was lost in the library, but he hasn't found it yet. This thought arose in Su Yu's mind. The library was not a library. The library was a place to store ordinary books or some scrapped writings of Will. In other words, that thing might still be in the library. As for Lu Hong's final mumble, his voice was very low. If Su Yu had not been paying attention, he would not have been able to hear it. So, this was Lu Hong unconsciously leaking the news. The library. Su Yu's eyes were bright. A 1500 merit points will of Will. The key was that he could save the merit points needed to purchase the supporting martial skills. That was also worth 200 merit points. No, the most important thing was it only in the 1000 June realm? If it was not only in the 1000 June realm, but also in the 10,000 stone realm, or even in the air, wouldn't he be rich? At this moment, Su Yu could not wait to run to the library. However, when he saw Xia Huyo staring at him suspiciously, Su Yu instantly suppressed his impulse and said with a smile, "I see. No wonder I heard from my teacher that Lu Hong has been unlucky recently. It's pretty good. I'll be leaving first." Su Yu pretended to leave calmly. Xia Huyo stared at his back and scratched his head. This guy, he won't know anything, right? Could it be that he knows where the article of will is? Xia Huyo scratched his head again. It can't be. Where did this guy get such good luck? I don't believe it. I just told him the news. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 336, Chapter 99 Kill Divine Text 1. Chapter 336, Chapter 99 Kill Divine Text 1. Library. At this moment, Su Yu could not forget about the library. As for the rest, he did not care. It did not matter if Lu Hong looked down on him or him, who cared? The most crucial point was that a book that was said to be written by a Shanghai realm expert, heaven-breaking kill, was thrown into the library. It was worth more than 1,000 merit points. Lu Hong must have been looking for it, but he still hasn't found it. Su Yu was surprised at first, but he quickly calmed down. Although he had a general direction, it didn't mean that he would be able to find it. Didn't he see that Lu Hong and the others knew where it was? Could it have been picked up by someone else? Could the person who lost it have remembered wrongly? Could it be that the person who lost it said it on purpose and lied to Lu Hong? Su Yu had many thoughts. On this day, he was not in the mood to attend class. He managed to muddle through the day. After class in the afternoon, Su Yu turned left and right as if he was not in the mood. In the end, he walked into the library of the university. The library was not like the library that was filled with the words of will. There were ordinary books in the library. There were also some discarded words of will. There was also a place like the fragment room in the research center. However, all of them required a fee. The library of the Great Xia Institute of Civilization was very, very big. A total of 6 floors. The first 3 floors were all ordinary books that could be entered with a student card. The other floors required fees to enter. Su Yu had never been here since he entered the university, and this was his first time. The moment he came, Su Yu was dumbfounded. It was too big. How could he find such a big place? On the first floor, there were some bookshelves, but most of them were tables and chairs for students to read. The second and third floors were where the books were placed. The second floor is filled with information about humans, and the third floor is filled with information about the myriad races. The languages used are different. Someone from the black market broke into the library and randomly found a place to stuff something in. It should be like this. Su Yu made a rough judgment. It was very likely to be like this. When the guards swept through the black market that day, the other party rushed into the library with the text of will in a hurry. Then, he stuffed the text of will into a pile of books. Later on, because there were too many books, he couldn't find it. It was written by a researcher from the Nine Heavens Academy. That must be the human language. If it was stuffed to the third floor, it would be very easy for others to find it unless it was stuffed to the second floor. Suyu asked around and heard an introduction. There were a total of 3,300 bookshelves on the second floor, and there were close to 1,000,000 books. Each bookshelf had close to 300 books. The library of Great Xia's Institute of Civilization was also one of the top libraries in the entire human race, and it had many collections. 3,300 bookshelves, how do I find them? Suyu was a little surprised. No wonder Lu Hong and the others couldn't find them. In his panic, if there were no marks, would it be impossible to find them? There was no way to find them openly. Who knew where the thousands of bookshelves had been stuffed? When Suyu reached the second floor, he was even more shocked. The place was frighteningly big. The bookshelves were densely packed, one row after another. It was terrifying to look at. There were quite a number of people on the second floor, scattered throughout the entire second floor. It was very quiet. Under such circumstances, it was easy to get lost if you didn't remember where they were placed. Lu Hong's people might be looking for it here as well. Suyu lowered his head and looked around from the corner of his eyes. At this moment, he had a feeling that the other party was Lu Hong's people. They were looking for the lost essay of will. The essay of will is still different from ordinary books. It has willpower attached to it. If I can use willpower to explore it, it would be much easier. However, this was the library. People were coming and going. Whoever dared to use willpower would definitely be targeted. Using willpower to probe others was a form of provocation. Then how do I find it? Suyu's heart was on the verge of collapse. With such a large place and so many books, you won't let me flip through them one by one, right? Just as Suyu was in a difficult position, outside the library, Bai Feng yawned and said in a slightly annoyed tone, "Are you kidding me? With such a huge place, if you hide a book for him to look for, where would he find it? If he can't find it, if it's found by someone else, then whose is it?" Lu Hong did not mind, he smiled faintly and said, "Then it's someone else's opportunity. An opportunity is something that only those who are fated will get. In any case, I've already paid the price. He knows better than anyone else and has the upper hand. If he still can't get it, then it's just bad luck. Luck may not be reliable, but it can still be very useful sometimes. A person without luck will be unlucky no matter what he does. Even if his talent is good, I don't think highly of him." Bai Feng cursed in a low voice, "Where are you hiding? I'll go and take a look." Lu Hong said calmly, "Bai Feng, if you go in, you will only attract attention. Let him look for it himself. If he can't find it, then it has nothing to do with me." Bai Feng glanced at him and was a little speechless. After a long while, he said, "You are very confident now. Looks like your strength has improved and your confidence has soared. You don't need my help anymore." Lu Hong smiled and said, "Why do you have to say it so harshly? Between you and me, who will help who? We are just helping each other. I gave Suyu a chance. If he doesn't grasp it, what does it have to do with me? I keep feeling that you don't have any good intentions." Bai Feng muttered, "You fellow, although you made this move this time, if Suyu really finds the will of the Shanghai realm, you've really put in a lot of money. That thing's value was very high." Lu Hong smiled and said, "Of course, I'm a person who's willing to invest. Moreover, this will of the will has long been reserved by someone, and they even paid a deposit. After it was swept away, the deposit wasn't refunded. This was also what we agreed on previously." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 337, Chapter 99-Inch Kill, 2. Chapter 337, Chapter 99-Inch Kill, 2. After saying that, Lu Hong smiled cunningly. If the person who booked it knows that the item was taken by Su Yu, ha ha ha. Who booked it? Bai Feng didn't really care. This guy wasn't a good person to begin with, so it was normal for him to be a little sneaky. Zheng Yunhui. I don't know him. Bai Feng did not take it seriously. What kind of person was he if he did not know him? Lu Hong said calmly, the grandson of the Zheng family head is not afraid of you. You even dare to snatch his things. Hee, just you wait. Who's the grandson? The grandson of the Zheng family head. Bai Feng's face twitched, and he could not help but curse, F***ck, you are too black-hearted. The Zheng family is a bunch of boors, they won't care about that. Can't you change someone else? I can't change. Lu Hong also said helplessly, the other few have their own Shanghai realm civilization masters, why do you need outsiders? Only the old Zheng family did not have them. The wargid technique was their main cultivation technique, and they needed it the most. In the entire old Zheng family, even the head of the Zheng family wanted to buy it, but he could not lower his head. Sorry. So if I sell it to him, not only will it fetch a high price, he won't spread it. Lu Hong smiled and said, I received a deposit of 1,000 points from him. That much? Bai Feng said in surprise, he won't look for trouble with you. Nonsense. I've already said it in advance. I'm not afraid of him looking for trouble with me. Moreover, the black market transactions are not legal to begin with. Why would I be afraid of him? Would he dare to publicize it everywhere? Lu Hong said disapprovingly, this is Civilization University, not Zhangjing University. Of course, if he didn't look for me, he would definitely look for Su Yu. The item was taken away by him. That was something Zheng Yunhui bought himself with real money. If it were you, would you agree to it? Of course not. Bai Feng said without thinking, forget it if I didn't spend the money. If I spent the money, someone would dare to rob me. Alright, there was no need to say anything else. The old Zheng family was not a soft persimmon to begin with. They had a very bad temper. Zheng Yunhui could not do anything to Lu Hong, so how could he not take care of Su Yu? Su Yu had obtained the article of will. Would he give it up? With Bai Feng's understanding of his disciple, he thought too much. In Su Yu's hands, he would not give it up even if he died. It was very valuable. He had picked it up himself. How could he give it back to others? Moreover, the items in the black market were not insured. There was no registration or record. If you said it was yours, then it was yours. Thinking of this, Bai Feng could not help but curse, dragging the Zheng family into this, you're really not afraid of Su Yu's death. I don't care. Lu Hong smiled and said, not only that, when the time comes, I will also report it to the higher-ups to make up for my losses. I am currently making your department fight with the old Zheng family. Anyway, they are all opponents. If you guys fight, it will be my credit. TSK, no matter what, you have to make up for my losses last time, right? Bai Feng was cursing and swearing. Lu Hong comforted them, what are you afraid of? How can the people of Zhangjing College do anything to you? Although it seemed like it wasn't a small matter, in reality, nothing much happened. It just felt like there was a big enemy, but in reality, it didn't matter at all. As long as Su Yu can deal with Zheng Yunhui, you guys won't lose anything. Bai Feng scolded, nothing. Can Su Yu defeat him? That kid from the Zheng family is at least at the 6th or 7th stage of Qianjun, right? Cough cough. 7th layer, it's nothing, don't be afraid. Lu Hong comforted him without any sincerity. It has nothing to do with me. Look, I've made a huge profit. After taking 1,000 merit points from Jing Yunhui, when he reported it, he said that he had calculated these two elements and the higher-ups had to compensate him for his losses. It shouldn't be a problem to report 3,000 merit points, right? Also, on Bai Feng's side, he wouldn't be paying for it, so Bai Feng had nothing to say, right? Isn't it enough for me to give you all a book of the will of the Shanghai realm? Otherwise, with Bai Feng's personality, he would have to look for me every day to ask for benefits. Killing 3 birds with 1 stone. Unfortunately, it's not good to tell Suyu. Otherwise, Suyu would have to thank me. That would be killing 4 birds with 1 stone. Right, I have to tell Jing Yunhui. He thought that he was going to lose it for sure. He lost 1,000 merit points for nothing. Now that he has regained it, at least he knows where it is. The grudge from before will be gone soon. Lu Hong sighed inwardly. I'm really amazing. Look, the old Jing family wouldn't suspect anything. Would they think that I'm deliberately supporting the enemy? TSK. Even the last hidden danger is gone. Thinking of this, Lu Hong's face was incomparably bright. As for Bai Feng, he thought about it for a while and also smiled. He didn't care anymore. He was still afraid of a little brat. The old Jing family didn't have much strength in the Institute of Civilization. Who could Jing Yunhui find trouble with? He could only look for Suyu. However, Suyu had taken the other party's things. If he couldn't win against the other party, he would give up on the article of will, or he would take up the matter. That was also his own choice. I don't care anymore. Bai Feng also had some considerations in his heart. It was pretty good. Although that kid from the old Jing family wasn't weak, it wasn't like Suyu didn't have any trump cards. Even if that blood essence talent skill erupted, he still had the confidence to fight. If he didn't fight against a genius, how could he improve? Of course, the most important thing was, he didn't have any money. Since he couldn't afford this thing, if Suyu got it himself, wouldn't that save him a huge sum of money? How great would that be? These two were scheming outside, so Suyu naturally didn't know anything about it. At this moment, Suyu was carefully and secretly searching. He was searching the bookshelves one by one. Every time he saw an outsider, he always felt that the other party was sneaky and had the same goal as him. In fact, he was the only one in the entire library who was searching. The black market has been wiped out. Since the person came in such a hurry, he definitely wouldn't have gone too far. Perhaps he found a place to hide the moment he went upstairs. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 338, Chapter 99-Inch Kill, 3. Chapter 338, Chapter 99-Inch Kill, so, it's probably on the bookshelves near the entrance. But it might not be too close, or else the other party would have found it long ago. In other words, it's in the middle. Suyu made his own judgment and searched everywhere. 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Tirelessly, he flipped through the books one by one. Who knew what that thing looked like? It could be bone, animal skin, or just ordinary paper. He didn't know that. But as long as he came into contact with it, he would definitely be able to recognize it. The text of will had different powers. Like a thief, Suyu flipped through the bookshelves one by one, his heart thumping wildly, afraid that others would discover his abnormality. 1,500 merit points. It's worth it. I have to find it even if I don't leave tonight. The library was not closed. Someone would spend 24 hours reading here. Therefore, Suyu had the time to slowly search. 1 hour, 2 hours. Suyu had flipped through at least 100 bookshelves and over 30,000 books, but he still did not find anything. He was a little desperate. Was there really such a thing? Was it really here? I still have to take the monthly exam tomorrow. I can't find it until daybreak, so I can only take the monthly exam. It was late at night, and there were fewer people in the library. Su Yu finally found some clues. He did not know how many bookshelves he had flipped through, but he found something unusual on one of the bookshelves in the corner. In a thick tome, he found something that looked like a silk scarf. It was very thin. He folded it into a small piece and stuffed it into the tome. When Su Yu flipped through the tome, he saw that there was something inside and guessed that he had found it. Sure enough, the small square silk scarf was in his hand. Su Yu touched it and immediately knew that it was not made of cloth. He did not know what material it was, but it might be some kind of beast skin. It was extremely smooth in his hand. Found it. Su Yu did not even need to look at it anymore. The power of will that was faintly revealed made him instantly realize that this was the text of will. I'm rich. Su Yu was overjoyed. He hurriedly stuffed it into his pocket and looked around. When he saw that no one was paying attention to him, his heart began to beat violently. He was happy, nervous, and a little afraid. He couldn't care less. He took the item, lowered his head, and walked out. He didn't notice that the big book he had just flipped through had the words, "The Basic Outline of the Development of Multi-God Language," written on it. This thing, other than the multi-God language, almost no one would come to flip through it. It could be seen that Lu Hong didn't just randomly find a place to stuff it in. Su Yu was extremely nervous all the way until he returned to the research center. Only then did he heave a sigh of relief. At this moment, it was already midnight. Bai Feng had been waiting in the living area. When he saw that he had returned, a faint abnormal willpower came from his body. He knew that he had obtained it. Looking at his disciple's guilty look, as if he had gained a huge advantage, Bai Feng secretly laughed in his heart. This kid probably doesn't know how much trouble will follow, but even if he knows, he probably won't care. Over 1,000 merit points, offending a genius. I'm afraid he'll also feel that it's worth it. Bai Feng didn't expose him even though he was thinking about it. Seeing that he had returned, he didn't say much and said, "Make yourself some food. Tomorrow is the moon test. Rest early today, don't stay up too late." Yes, I understand, teacher." Su Yu hurriedly nodded. His mood had yet to calm down. Seeing that Bai Feng seemed like he was about to leave, he hesitated for a moment before saying, "Teacher, about the Heaven Breaker martial technique." Bai Feng directly interrupted, "Go and exchange it yourself. Or find someone from Lu Hong's faction to win it. Anyway, they have money, so they can take whatever they want. Didn't you have a bet with Lin Yao? Or add another heaven-shattering killing technique. Remember, look for proper channels to get it. Don't look for crooked channels. If you don't have the record of learning this martial technique, if you suddenly learn it, the academy will strictly investigate it." Su Yu blinked and hurriedly nodded. "I understand." However, he was suspicious in his heart. Why did his teacher seem to have a premonition? It felt as if he knew that he had obtained the cultivation technique beforehand. Bai Feng seemed to feel that he had made a mistake as well. He added, "There are those who sell these martial techniques on the black market. The prices aren't expensive, but don't be greedy. For cultivation technique manuals and the like, it's best to find an academy to exchange for them. Even if you don't find an academy, you have to find a proper channel. Do you understand?" "Yes. Don't be greedy." "I understand." Su Yu nodded and said, "Teacher, you also know this martial technique. Can you pass on my words?" "Of course." Bai Feng smiled and said, "But I need to report it. I still need to pay 200 merit points. I don't have any merit points right now." Su Yu gritted his teeth. Instead of benefiting others, he might as well benefit his teacher. "If I can't get it from Lin Yao and the others, then I'll look for my teacher to ask for the martial arts technique. At most, I'll give my teacher 200 merit points." Su Yu wanted to talk about the article of will, but just as he was about to speak, Bai Feng said, "I'll be off first. Teacher, We'll talk about it later. Bai Feng left swiftly. I don't want to know. I know. If you get into trouble with the kid from the Zheng family, doesn't that mean that you'll look for me to take the blame? I won't take the blame. I'll keep what I've picked up, and I'll take care of it myself. Su Yu was speechless. Why? I feel like you have the ability to predict the future. It was as if you knew what you were going to say. That's weird. That's weird. Su Yu scratched his head. He had a nagging feeling that something was not right with Bai Feng tonight. Since Bai Feng had run away, Su Yu could not say anything else. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 339, Chapter 99, Kill 4. Chapter 339, Chapter 99, Kill 4. He couldn't wait any longer. As soon as Bai Feng left, he hurriedly took out the folded cloth and flipped it open to take a look. The words written on it were densely packed. It was written in human language. Su Yu didn't use his willpower. He first looked through it briefly and roughly understood the heaven-breaking kill martial technique. As expected, this was the accompanying cultivation method of the war god technique. There are only records of the two realms of Qianjun and Wanshi. Su Yu frowned. It was too little. He had thought that there were martial skills that could soar into the sky. But it's still enough. It's actually an earth-rank martial skill. That's right. With the advanced version of the war god technique, it's also reasonable that it's an earth-rank martial skill. This was a prearranged move by a monster. As for who it was, Su Yu had no idea. Since the other party was a monster, he must have cultivated the advanced version of the art of war. There was also a difference between the matching martial techniques and the normal version. There are a total of 6 moves, corresponding to Qianjun and Wanshi middle advanced stage. Using 96 apertures. Su Yu was astonished. His Thunder Origin blade used a total of 40 apertures, and that was under the most circumstances. As for the Heaven Splitter, the final move used 96 openings. It used 16 openings as one move. The first move required the use of the strength of 16 openings, and it was even stronger than the second move of the Thunder Origin blade. These 16 openings didn't include the opening of the Origin openings. I have opened 36 openings now, so I can use the first move. Su Yu looked at it and compared it. He had opened all 16 openings in the first move. However, even though he had opened 36 apertures, he could not use the second move. Some of the apertures had not been opened yet. The corresponding one should be at the intermediate stage of Qianjun. In that case, I can completely master the first move quickly. Heaven-cleaving massacre was not a saber technique or a sword technique. It was a purely explosive method of strength. This was because even if the fighters practiced the Ares art, the weapons they used might not be the same. This martial technique mainly focused on the explosive method of strength. It wasn't just a move like a saber technique. 16 apertures, different connecting methods, different explosive methods, different opening methods. Su Yu was mesmerized as he watched. Unknowingly, his willpower was immersed in it. In the next moment, a middle-aged man appeared in front of him and started cultivating heaven-cleaving massacre. Heaven-shattering killing technique, a powerful technique. The first move, wall-shattering, 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 human body wall-shattering, using 16 acupoints. The brawny man narrated each and every sentence. With every acupoint used, a corresponding acupoint would appear in his body. How to open it, how to circulate his strength, how to connect his yuan qi, he explained it clearly, it was extremely intuitive. Su Yu was mesmerized by it. Vaguely, a character on the silk slowly began to distort. Kill. Su Yu did not notice that his attention was completely focused on the brawny man, probing the profoundness of the martial technique. But at the next moment, Suyu was jolted awake. In his sea of will, 2 divine runes were vibrating. In the blink of an eye, 2 divine runes actually appeared on their own. The blood and thunder divine runes suddenly joined forces to attack. In Suyu's daze, he saw a character appear in his sea of consciousness. Kill. Divine runes. In Suyu's daze, I didn't want to capture it. I didn't want to sketch it. I actually sketched the divine runes. What's going on? I can't care about that anymore. Since I've encountered it, why don't I beat it up? In the next moment, Suyu no longer cared about martial techniques. In his sea of consciousness, Suyu's figure appeared. His blood underling turned into a long saber, and his thunder underling directly attached himself to the saber, causing lightning to rise everywhere. Boom! Suyu slashed out with his saber. This time, this newly born divine text was extremely powerful. It was full of killing intent. Suyu slashed out with his saber, and suddenly felt a wave of palpitations in his heart. Countless killing intent erupted, and 10,000 swords pierced through his heart. Kill! In his mind, a grand voice resounded, and the sound of killing shook the heavens. Kill! Kill! Sharp, fierce, and full of killing intent, he pressed forward with indomitable will. The newly born divine text was extremely powerful, and in the blink of an eye, it broke through Suyu's long saber and charged toward him. This was the will text written by a Shanghai realm expert, and the divine text that was born was much stronger than the one written by Bai Feng and Lu Wenyan. If it wasn't for the fact that the other party had prepared it for thousands of tons of stones, Suyu wouldn't even be able to read it, let alone outline the divine text. Even so, this divine text was far stronger than he had imagined. With a rumble, the long blade shattered. The blood-type divine text appeared, and it was a little dark. The thunder-type divine text also shook continuously. With the 2 divine texts working together and Suyu added in, they weren't even a match for this newborn divine text. Damn, in my sea of will, you're still so arrogant. Suyu couldn't hold it in any longer. He was courting death. Killing intent. Killing intent was nothing. I've died too many times, how can I be afraid of you? In the next moment, Suyu directly charged forward. The Thunder Origin blade erupted and used his palm as a blade to fight against the kill word divine inscription. After an unknown amount of time, Suyu's figure shattered with a poochie sound. He was dead. However, this was his sea of consciousness. In the blink of an eye, Suyu's face turned pale as he reappeared in the sea of consciousness. Arrogant, let's see how many times you can kill me. I'll exhaust you to death. What was death? It was just a matter of getting used to it. Wasn't it just a little headache? How many times can you kill me? Today, I'll definitely beat you into submission. Once, twice, thrice. I don't know how many times I've died. I don't know how much time has passed, but with a rumble, the kill character shattered and scattered in the sea of will. The main body was still there, but it was badly damaged. Even so, it was still full of fighting spirit. Unfortunately, it was no longer able to form a complete character. The damaged kill character shook for a moment before it stopped. It fell silent in the sea of will. Suyu opened his eyes and panted heavily. He had defeated that fellow. However, the consumption of willpower was too great. It was so great that it was frightening. It was even comparable to entering the fragment chamber 5 or 6 times. He looked at the window again, it was daybreak. Suyu was shocked. It was daybreak. The monthly exam was about to begin. It was over. In his current state, how was he going to take the exam? The consumption of willpower was too great. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 340, Chapter 100 Monthly Exam. Chapter 340, Chapter 100 Monthly Exam, 1. Divine Arts College. Intermediate Class. Su Yu was late. This was the first time he was late since he became the class monitor. Today was the monthly exam. On such an important day, Su Yu was late. The moment he saw Su Yu, the huge classroom was silent. Class monitor. What happened to you? When they saw Su Yu's pale face, listless eyes, and a deranged expression, some students seemed to have thought of something. The next moment, someone said angrily, "It's still Lin Yao. He's going too far." The class monitor must have overtrained to not embarrass the intermediate class and hurt his willpower. Damn that Lin Yao. Class monitor, are you alright? Many people got down from their seats and walked towards Su Yu. Some were angry and some felt that Su Yu was not worth it. Why did he have to work so hard? Lu Yu also walked forward. She was a little helpless and her heart ached. She said, "Su Yu, even if you lose, it's nothing. If you lose the mountain-breaking bull essence blood, you'll still have a chance in the future. Why do you have to torture yourself like this?" Yeah. Lu Wu, who had a good relationship with Su Yu, was also a little annoyed. He said, "Class monitor, if you do this, something bad will happen to you." Su Yu's mind was still not clear. At this moment, he gradually became clear-headed and did not know whether to laugh or cry. Who said that I tortured myself for Lin Yao? I'm crazy. I don't care about Lin Yao at all. It's just that my willpower to capture the divine prose has been overused. The kill holy prose was really too strong. It was much stronger than his previous 2 holy prose. He had fought for an entire night and the sky was already bright. If it wasn't for his strong willpower, he probably wouldn't have been able to subdue the kill holy prose last night. He wouldn't have lasted until the morning. It's fine. Su Yu forced a smile and said, "It's really fine. It's just that I used up too much of my willpower. I'll be fine soon. It has nothing to do with Lin Yao." Su Yu's voice was slightly louder as he said, "Everyone, don't talk about Lin Yao anymore. Lin Yao is, after all, a student. Please, everyone, don't be unhappy because of me." Everyone reacted in their hearts. Yes, Lin Yao was Lu Hong's student. A genius teaching assistant. If he kept scolding Lin Yao, would he offend Lu Hong? Initially, they had a good impression of Lu Hong, but they only saw him once a month. They hadn't seen Lu Hong these past few days, and everyone had almost forgotten about him. Only now did they remember that Lu Hong was their chief instructor. Even though Su Yu said so, someone still scolded him in a low voice, "What's there to be afraid of? It's disgusting to begin with. If you offend him, so be it. What's there to be afraid of?" That's right, class monitor. Your teacher is also a genius teaching assistant. His ranking is even higher than his. He's still bullying us. It's not like we don't know about this. The school's single divine literature department has always been bullying the multiple divine literature department. Most of the students in the intermediate class didn't acknowledge him as their teacher. At this moment, they didn't have too many traces of factions. At the very least, no one took the initiative to guide them and influence them. Unlike the advanced class, most of them had teachers. The teachers might only be from the God language faction. As such, in the intermediate class, the traces of factions were very faint, and the advanced class was much more important. Everyone spoke one after another, and in the next moment, a light cough sounded from outside the door. Wang Ming. The head teacher of the intermediate class of the God Language Academy. Beside Wang Ming, there was another person. It was the Lu Hong that everyone had just mentioned. Lu Hong glanced at Su Yu and was slightly surprised. This kid, even if he had read the article of Wu last night, he shouldn't have looked like this. Could it be that the article of will of the Shanghai realm had put too much pressure on him? This kid had read too deeply, so he didn't notice it. He looked like he had used up too much energy. Those who didn't know would think that this kid had gone to do something last night. Once they arrived, the class quieted down. Suyu also returned to his seat. There were nearly 600 people in the class. The monthly exam was something that every student had to attend. Wang Ming walked to the front desk and said, "Today's monthly exam is the main exam for me and assistant instructor Lu Hong. This is also the first monthly exam for new students. I hope that everyone can display their own standards. Everyone knows the rules that should be taught. The top 10 of the monthly exam will be rewarded, and the bottom 10 will be punished. The exam is divided into 3 parts: culture class, willpower, and divine literature." After saying that, Wang Ming looked at Lu Hong and said, "Assistant teacher Lu, do you want to say a few words?" Lu Hong smiled and looked at the crowd. Slowly, he said, "Everyone can just perform as usual. The first exam won't be too difficult, so there's no need to be nervous. Also, I want to add that the top 3 of the monthly exam are qualified to challenge the students of the advanced class. If you win, you can enter the advanced class to study. You don't have to consider whether or not you have reached the cultivation level. You can challenge or give up. You can challenge anyone who is in the top 10 of the monthly test of the advanced class. You are not allowed to refuse. The others have the right to refuse." When he said this, many people looked at Suyu. Suddenly, someone said, "Then if you can't get into the top 10, then you can't challenge." Yes. Lu Hong smiled and said, "This is also because the academy wants to protect the weaker students so that they have a better chance and space to grow." Everyone looked at Suyu once again. Someone directly said, "Class monitor, your condition today isn't good. I'm afraid you won't be able to make it into the top 3. Then we won't be polite." These people saw that Suyu's condition wasn't good and might even be injured. There was a problem with his willpower. At this moment, they suddenly wanted to eliminate Suyu from the top 3. That way, the class monitor wouldn't have to challenge that fellow. "Suyu in the heart helpless, you are kind-hearted, or pit me."